starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, this is Ken Krell, aka the IP Alchemist. I am thrilled to invite you to join us today for an incredibly special presentation by my friend Scott Smith. As you see on the screen, the Mastering the Art of Podcast Persuasion: How to Turn Your Voice into Cash. Now, a couple of ground rules before we begin this exciting festivity, because I'll tell you, I've been so excited about this and I've been waiting, and I will share with you that this is an event that was not supposed to happen because Scott did not want to do it. He's a perfectionist. He wants to be ready with the final thing. And I said, Scott, no, I want first. And I didn't blackmail him, but I came close. So before we start, if you would, as we usually do, first tell me that you can hear me okay. And if you can, just pop in the chat where you're coming in from, then you can hear me okay. That will be delightful. So I see Lanita is in from the East Coast of America. Sam is in from Vancouver. And let's see, so good. We have a bunch of you. Bill is in from Tennessee. Alexandrina is, yay, from the UK. Fantastic. Okay, so it sounds like you can hear me okay. Excellent. Okay, so now for the next 60 to 90 minutes or so, we're going to rock your world. That is our intention. And I'm pretty confident that that's going to happen because I know the entity that I brought on for you. So that being said, if you have anything that would serve as a distraction, then from Sheila, I didn't know you were from Burlington. I've been to Burlington. I've spoken in Burlington. How cool is that? Anyway, so, and we're not talking about Vermont. You guys are talking about Ontario, Canada. Anyway, so for the next bit of time, this is designed for you. Scott and I have been busy today getting this prepped for you and thinking strictly of no one else but you. So I encourage you to keep your butts focused today. Anything that might serve as a distraction, put it away. Turn your cell phones into silent or vibrate. Tell the dog to come and listen because your dog will get to learn a lot of things. Actually, your dog probably knows more about persuasion than all of us combined. But today is really a very special day for you because you're going to get to meet a gentleman. Yes, 7,124 episodes and counting. I know, right? It has a mind of its own. Now, see, Scott is usually used to doing his own show. He's got over 7,000 podcasts that he's done. And I came across him about a year and a half ago, I guess it is now. And he had done a radio show for my friend Gina Gaudio-Graves, the Breakthrough, Breakthrough Directions, I think it's called. And in any event, I listened to Scott and I could not get over the model that he had put together for building a podcast that generated just mountains upon mountains of cash, or as you saw if you were on Google Plus, rivers of cash. It's remarkable. And his model is so sensational, and what he's done is really off the charts that I couldn't stop talking to people about how great it was, which is we teach all about evangelism. I was an evangelist before I even knew him. I got him on the phone because that's the kind of person I am. I was like, Scott, let's talk. This is amazing. And he was so gracious to give me well over an hour of his time, and he charges a lot of money for his time. And he's not usually very available, but for some reason, I guess he liked me or something, which I guess still continues to this very day. Somehow I managed to keep that going.
Don't push it, Ken.
I know, right? So, but we bond.
You haven't introduced me yet. Okay, just keep going.
I'm getting there. You're supposed to be quiet in the background. I can mute you, you know. But anyway.
Give me your best shot.
I know, right? Never give a guy the microphone. You're in trouble. But anyway, the bottom line is he's a total pro. And I followed what he did. I created the Boost Your Practice Show podcast, and we're not using that brand anymore, so I've not continued the podcast, but the model still remains, and it's really great. And in fact, Scott, we were talking about you yesterday morning. I was talking to my friend Casey Everhart about you, and he's like, oh yeah, you made me listen to that radio show. So this is a guy that is the real deal. You know, you have heard people over the years that talk a great talk, but don't walk the walk. Scott is a pro. He's a perfectionist. He does what he says and says what he does. And today you're going to hear not just how he's created this, but also how he's mastered the art of persuasion and using podcasts as the way he delivers his message. He's a remarkable guy. He really, really is. I spent a lot of time with Scott and his lovely wife, Joy, on the Marketers Cruise this past year. And it's just, we got to bond even better. And then just saw him in Orlando over this past weekend. And he and Joy are just total troopers. His story is amazing. And after this is over and after you become part of his program, which of course we're hoping you will today, I want every one of you to listen to his podcast, which is called Motivation to Move. It is super good. And he does 3 podcasts. Well, hell, I'm telling you a story, Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm Institute for Totalpreneurship welcome, the virtual clap, to Mr. Scott Smith. Woo-hoo!
Whoa! Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you guys put up with this every single week. Oh goodness gracious! Holy moly! Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for the introduction, my man, and I appreciate that. Yeah, Ken called me up one time, and I had no idea who this darn Kenergizer was. And yet he had this amazing infectious energy, and I said, "Fine, I'll talk to you, man." And I talk to most anybody. I'm just getting real busy. I don't mean to sound like I talk to almost everybody that calls me, which is probably my problem. But I stay real busy. I've been a really lucky guy, and so I've gotten to know Ken a little bit and gotten into this. Now, I promise you tonight, very quickly, when Ken said that I didn't want to do this, I did not want to do this. I've been on the road for a solid month. What you're going to hear tonight, I was going to tell you, has never been presented before, but my friends, that would be a lie. It has been presented one time before, and it was 4 weeks ago. I did it live in an audience in Atlanta, and we had a standing ovation, and they were blown away by what I did. I've been asked to come back and keynote, and we had a pretty good day sales-wise that day as well. I tell you that because when I walked out of there, I was like, I got to go perfect this. I got to get it ready for a webinar. I need to do this. We're not ready yet, and yet we're teaching. We're doing this for people all over the world right now. And Ken caught me when I walked into the JV Zoo, and he said, "Scott, I want it now." And I said, "No." And he is really serious. I was just thinking today, I was thinking you blackmailed me, and now you admitted it. You got real close to it.
It was a conspiracy for Mitch Carson and myself.
Yeah, well, you got me.
See, he had talked to me about it about 2 weeks ago, and he said, and I said, I want somebody really good. We haven't done a really solid, good webinar in a while. And he said you were doing podcast persuasion. So he doesn't have a course. I wanted to have you on ages ago, and Mitch said, "Oh, but he does now." And I was like, "Well, in that case, I will nail him." So yeah, I did. I got you in one of those.
You got me, man.
I did.
Well, I thank you for dragging me in because what happened today, guys, this is the way this works. I've had lots of courses, but I've never taught what I've done. I've never taught how I've done what I've done with the podcast. Frankly, I'm not a podcaster. You'll hear more about it as we go on. I've never taught it. And one day, somebody asked me to, and I said, it's probably a good idea. So I did. Everything else I do has been so profitable and kept me so busy, I didn't do this. And so we did it. Here it is. It's out there, and it's fantastic. I'm going to teach you tonight. Let me make you this promise right now. I tend to get excited. I get going. I think you're lucky. I've been going since about 7 o'clock this morning, so I might be a little slow. If I slur my words, I'm not drunk. I'm probably just tired, and I get excited. I will guarantee you this right now as we get into this. I'm going to teach you stuff tonight that you've never heard before. If you're a podcaster, put your head on a swivel and get ready. You're going to spin it around about 25 times. You will never have thought about podcasting like this. I'm telling you, I'm not a podcaster. That's why I think differently. It is a medium for me to spread my message and for me to be able to make a really good living out of it. You'll see a little bit more of that here in just a second. Now, before we started tonight, you notice I popped up this slide that said 124 episodes. I hate to start a program lying, but I did it again, Ken. I can't believe it.
See how you are.
Yeah, because that number is 4 weeks old. I do 16 podcasts a week, so it's a whole lot more than that now. Over a period of time, 7,124 plus episodes individually produced by me. So when I say that I got skin in the game, my friends, I got skin in the game. Nobody's helped me. I've done every single one from start to finish. Yes, they're shorter. They're about 9 minutes, as you'll hear about, but I've done them all, and I did 4 today. I'll do another 12 tomorrow. That's this week's load. So we do this it really is.
I don't know if you saw if you see this chat, because I know you're not a good webinar guy, but Martin from the Netherlands said, "I recognize the voice. It's the Daily Boost guy. I followed you for a long time," he says.
There you go. It is the Daily Boost guy. Thank you, Martin. Now, I do the webinar stuff occasionally, but I'm actually pretty confused right now. I'm an audio guy. And I tend to stay in my own little world, and I'm not really a perfectionist, but I do like here's what I like to do. You guys deserve really good content. I feel guilty right now that we're kind of talking back and forth inside chatter. You deserve to. You're investing time in me tonight, and I'm gonna throw you. It's gonna be different. I'm gonna make you laugh, make you smile. I might make you cry if I'm really lucky. I'm gonna teach you stuff you've never thought about before. So let's start. Let's go back in time a little bit, Ken. First off, how about a little podcasting history? I talked to a gentleman today. He was very cool, and he knew every single thing about podcasting. I said, "Wow, man, you are a knowledgeable guy. How long have you been doing it?" I said that sarcastically. He said, "Well, I've been in about 2 years now." Not a long time. See, I've been in longer than that. Actually, I started back in 1983. So, well, not really. That is me right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's me working at an AM radio station, WPRW in Manassas, Virginia. I tell you that because at the time, we didn't know much about podcasting or audio, and that's a reel-to-reel tape deck I'm working on there. I've been in broadcast since I got out of high school, but in 1983 there was this little thing that was going on that was actually pretty You had to be really smart to do this, I guess would be the only word that we can actually say on this, and that is called audio blogging. Audio blogging was really popular, but who back in 1983 knew how to rip a CD or an album, no less, because CDs were new in '83. How did you rip the audio and get it on a computer and play it? People were doing it with audio blogging. A little later on in '95, it became the audio jukebox. You remember the Napster days. That's when radio.com and broadcast.com and all that started to pop up. So this has been going on for a little while, and then about 2000 to 2003, you saw the RSS enclosures were created. Now that is really simple syndication with the enclosure that happened about 2000. There is some talk about when that actually happened, but that's what makes podcasting work. Allows us to enclose a media file into an RSS feed. Also, notice here, I want you to pay attention, Ken. See where it says that bottom line, the method for episodic media.
Yeah.
That was a patent that was filed back then. Episodic is key to podcasting, and these days every podcaster I know calls it an episode. Not one of them knows why they do it. I'm going to tell you why we do that tonight, and that'll teach you. Now, we kept on going. In 2004, USA Today came out with a top podcast list. New York Times did the same thing. Podcasting was defined in Wikipedia. If you want to know everything about it, you can go to Wikipedia right now, and it is a really boring, politically motivated, posturing read. But go ahead. It's a bunch of people bragging about who started it and who didn't. But it got going. This is where mainstream began to happen. So think about this. It's about 2004, and we had come a long way. We had literally come from here, and I had a raincoat and a boombox, so I might have been in that picture somewhere. We had come from this. We had come from literally broadcasting our music around, having cassette decks and not being able to listen to what we wanted to do, until one day, as we're going through all this process, this guy, everybody recognizes this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was his big idea? Ken, what was his big idea, you think?
Well, clearly it was 1,000, was it 10,000 songs in your pocket?
There you go.
And then of course that turned into the iTunes store.
Yeah, the iTunes. It was the iPod that was the idea, right?
Right.
But really, what I think the big idea was, and that's why I love this picture, and a lot of people use this, but I love it because I think the big idea was, wait a second, I have an idea. I can put the podcast that everybody else was already doing because I was already there. I had started in 2005 recording. Only 2 months after podcasting was invented, I started recording my podcast. And I was at a place called Podcast Pickle and Podcast Alley. I was out there. It was the Wild West of podcasting. And Steve Jobs, he came by one day and he said, "Hey, Scott, I see you're out there podcasting and you're doing pretty well." Well, he didn't say that, but he kind of said that. And he had this idea. Why don't I scrape all the podcast aggregators and drag them into iTunes, make them part of the big search engine, and attract tons of free traffic so I can sell a bunch of songs? And he did. To this day, nobody pays for a podcast inside of iTunes. In fact, it's the only thing I think in iTunes that is free. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why do they do it? It's a massive traffic source for Apple, which is why they do this. Now, the other side of the coin is iTunes is a search engine. We'll be talking about that as we get in the program a little bit. So if you really understand that iTunes is a search engine, well, since they're in there with all the big guys, you're up against and right next door to the biggest players in the planet. You are no different than the biggest speakers, the biggest artists, the biggest audiobooks. It doesn't matter. So Steve had a great idea, and that's what he did. I got busy with this, and I started kind of working it. At the time, I was still free. I'd gone about 18 months for free. I did probably a couple hundred podcasts free. And then I decided to go premium, and I started what then was a very new concept and what now is a still very novel concept, and that is actually charging people for my podcast. I do one per week for free, and I charge for 15 others. So this was really novel back in the time, and I actually got there by doing that. I actually started what we called the Daily Boost podcast that our friend in the Netherlands talks about. This is a screenshot. I don't know when I took it. It doesn't matter. It was #1. We were #1 for about 5 years straight. Now it's so busy out there that we're in the top 10 of self-help, and we've never left it. This is the flagship of what we do, the Daily Boost. We do the Fitness Boost, the Daily Boost, and the Business Boost these days. But this is where really it all started. And like I said, for 5 years straight, we sat at #1 of self-help, and these people are, I guarantee you, all these people on the screen, half of them, if not almost all of them, are gone, or they're just not producing new podcasts anymore. So these days, here's what it looks like. 16 episodes per week, 10 million plus downloads on the Daily Boost alone. Daily Boost alone. You got to understand that. It's a 9-minute every Monday podcast. It's been there since 2006, 10 million downloads on that. That doesn't include anything else. 1,500 plus members inside my site, 1.4 million in revenue. I actually should put a front-end revenue. Front-end revenue means this. That is, I charge for the podcast when they come in the door. People pay me $19.95 to $39.95 a month, and that's that money. Back-end revenue, and we all know the back-end revenue is where all the money is. The money's in the list and the back end. We have well exceeded that number on the back end. So this has really driven a lifestyle for me, and there's a reason why it works so well. I'm going to tell you exactly how I do it tonight. I'm not going to hold back on you, I promise you. It has created an amazing lifestyle. Let me show you something here. This is something I always wanted. This is only about 3 months old. I finally got time to buy one. I wanted a mobile studio. I wanted to live the internet lifestyle. I fly airplanes. I ride motorcycles. I own bikes and Jeeps and everything else, and I had never had a motorhome. And so this is Lake Toxaway, North Carolina, at a Class A luxury motorhome resort. I didn't want to go to a ticky-tacky KOA, so I bought this big 30, it's almost 40 foot, 39-foot motorhome. And we've only had it a few months. You can see my Jeep there in the front of it. We put the Jeep behind it, and we take it up. We go mountain biking in the summertime, get ready to go up to Virginia and do the mountains again here in about 2 weeks, and everything goes with me. This is a 100,000 plus, way plus motorhome, and this, I tell you, was paid for by a podcast. So don't you doubt that you can't do this. Now, you've heard my voice before. You've heard me on podcasts, but a lot of people don't know you've heard me everywhere else too. You have heard me on all of these networks, Disney and ESPN and ABC and Universal. I've been all over. I still occasionally am on Universal and Disney because I live here, and sometimes the networks will call to do this. I produce television shows and television commercials. I have a vast media background. So when I say I'm not a podcaster, I am not, and I do not stand in that crowd. They can, that's fine. I'm a broadcaster and proud of it. Now, a few years later, I'm still doing this, the programs that I'm doing, the podcast, but I'm still working for a living doing voiceover work, and I got hired by these guys, the Children's Miracle Network, and this was a turning point for me. This taught me something. If you know the Children's Miracle Network, you'll know that they produce telethons, and we go into the hospitals and we shoot video of kids that are sick and dying, and then we spin them into a storyline, and the only goal of doing this is to, frankly, to make money, because they're raising money for these hospitals to take care of the kids. So I learned really quickly how to attach emotion plus logic to create a result, and that's what I did here. I blew the phones up. They made so much money. I did it for almost 5 years, and I was a full-blown TV producer then. That's actually, by the way, when I gained a lot of weight, and I had to start Motivation to Move to lose weight is what I had to do. So I've got this vast experience, 10,000 plus commercials. I don't know how many radio commercials I've done. It's been crazy. That all led me into this world. Motivation to Move, and this is the current site as it is. And it's not fancy, but notice that it's got that free audio download on it. I want you to notice that because very few podcasters do this, and I will say podcaster occasionally because it is it's kind of the world I live in, although I don't agree to be there, but the word does work. Very simple website, and yet has worked extremely well for me. Well, what I got to tell you is something that's pretty interesting, and I know a lot of people on the line. I know we have people from all over the world, and when you get a guy like me who's busy, I speak all over the world, I know all these top guys, and I'm always on the go. I charge about $5,000 a month. I say about because it does vary a bit, but my standard coaching fee is $5,000 a month to talk to people. And when you listen to me, you're like, okay, well, is it real? Is it not real? I guarantee you, I'm dead tired. It's real, because watch out what you wish for, because you do get to do it. But I started this program because I had an idea. I worked about 18 months, and I worked for free, and one day after working 90 hours a week, I was like, how long am I going to have to do this stuff? How long until I figure out how to make a web page? How long until I figure out how to get paid? How long? How long? And I'm working full time. Yeah, I'm making good money, but I'm killing myself. And I decided to launch. My daughter came to me, and we found this software. We said, we think we can do this. And so we spent about 9 months working. It was off-the-shelf software, developing it, getting it to the point that we could actually sell a podcast. And I remember we set the launch date on Labor Day weekend of 2006. My wife and I had also decided that we were going to move, because we said, hey, let's go to Colorado, because now, hey, Motivation to Move, I'm a motivational speaker now. I'm going to go off to the mountains and write my book. That's what I'm going to do. And so figure we'd sell the house, we'd move to the mountains, we'd take our money, we'd stay there a year, I'd write my book, we'd snuggle by the fire, drink a lot of wine, come back and be world famous. That was the plan. Well, the house took about 90 days to sell, and it sold on just the weekend of Labor Day. And I never forget it. We had scheduled our launch that same day, and we had to move because somebody said, hey, it's been on the market a long time. We'll give you a bunch of money if you get out in 8 days. And I went, well, okay, I'll get out in 8 days. And so we packed up and got going. Well, my wife hadn't been feeling good most of the summer, and we had scheduled doctor appointments, and that day when we were moving out, she was not feeling good when she got out of bed. But I had to launch my internet broadcast program. And so I never forget it. It was 2006, 2005 actually, when it all started. Well, it was 2006, I guess. I never forget it. I walked in there. We launched our program. We started in 1995. We had 30 people come in and give me 1995, like $590 some dollars and change. Yoo-hoo, we made money. Yeah, we're legit. We're real. Let's unplug the computers. We have to pack them up and throw them in the U-Haul. And that's what we did. So now I had money to at least pay for my U-Haul truck and all that stuff, and it was good. I figured I'd close on my house in a couple of days. We'd have more cash. Well, that night, I had gone to Gainesville, Florida, the day I had launched my business. And as I'm laying my head down on the pillow, the phone rings. And it's my wife, and she says, "Scott, I don't feel good." And I said, "What's on? What's up?" And she said, I just don't feel good." And I said, well, she was staying with her best friend overnight because she hadn't been feeling good all day. And I said, "Call the paramedics." And she did. And I got out of that stone cold bed, and I took a deep breath that I held for the next 100 days. And I rolled down 100 miles of interstate highway, and I walked in. I don't know if you remember the day that that Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, died. That was the very day that it happened. I walked in the emergency room, and I saw that on TV, on CNN. And I walked down the hallway, the same hallway that I'd been down 100 times because my kids grew up there. They broke arms. They got sick. That's where we took them. And I got to the end as I walked around the corner. My wife was sitting there, and she looked up to me, and she said, "It got me. It got me." I knew what she meant because about 5 years before she had had cancer, and we thought we beat it. Well, we hadn't. It had come back with a vengeance. And that morning, that day, I got a terminal diagnosis that my wife was going to die. I was half moved out of my house. I called my friends. I called in the troops. They came. They moved us out. We went to a La Quinta Inn. From there, we went to a beachfront, a $1.2 million beachfront house, because why not? You know, we had money. And while we were there, I remember going outside, and I stood on the deck, and I had this problem. I had just launched my business as a podcast, and people were listening to me. It was building. I was in number 2, number 3, number 1 sometimes. I didn't know what to do. And so I stood there, and I looked up, and I talked to God, and I said, "Hey, man, so what's up? I decided to be a motivational speaker, and you do this crap to me? Really? Is this a test? It's not like I'm going to be a plumber. It's not like I'm going to mow lawns. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm supposed to help people. Are you testing me to see if I can do this? Are you seeing what I'm made of? Bring it on, bucko." And that minute was like I was Morgan Freeman and Bruce Almighty's. Yes. I go, okay, let's do it. So I made a decision right then. And now I can make light of it. It's been 7 years. And so the pain's not there anymore, although it's never far. But I made a decision that I would do my podcast weekly the best I could. And I would share my journey along the way. And from episode 66 to episode 99 was a journey that people will never forget. Because that was a time that we went through the process of her going through hospice and traveling to Costa Rica and spending time in the jungles, at least in her dreams, and then eventually her passing. That was the time that all happened. And I shared every step of the way. And it was not easy, and yet it was cathartic for me. And people stayed with my story, and they connected with me week after week after week after week as I produced more episodes and serialized them and strung them together, not knowing I was doing it, but I did it anyway. This is Cheryl. She was my wife for 26 years, and still there, no doubt about that. But I'm a positive, upbeat guy, and like I said, it's been 7 years, and I take the lessons I learned. You can't knock me down very long. And back in the studio, there I am. She died on December 6, 2006, and that is right around the end of December. I'm in the studio. I'm starting recording again with a stupid shot. Only about 7 weeks after she died, I end up in San Francisco, me a little fatter, and that's Joy. Joy's who I'm married to right now. I met her very quickly right after my first wife passed away, and somebody put her in my path, and it's been a great thing. Well, remember those 30 people we had? We opened up again on the 20th of January, and I remember telling my wife, my girlfriend, I guess, maybe not even my girlfriend. I told her, I said, guess what? She asked me, well, I mean, how you doing? She's checking me out. Do I have enough money? I said, I have 30 members. They all pay me $19.95 a month. So we get to live on $600 a month. That wasn't going to cut it. So I went live again toward the end of January, and we got to 150 members. Do the math on that. Here's the picture of those guys. They showed up. we had a little party, a little get together. Look, I'd lost a little bit of weight, and a couple of months later, look, I'd shaped up even more, and a bigger group showed up. We're up to 500 members now, coming down to Orlando and riding the ride with us and having a great time. Joy and I got a house. We had some aprons. Then we got married. That's our wedding picture. I love that picture. And it wasn't long after that. Remember, we're coming out of a funeral, and we're coming out of this. I'm sharing every bit of this along the way. This is the story of a podcast. This is what's gluing people to me. They're hearing my life live out in front of them. My daughter got married. What's it like when your mother dies and then your daughter gets married? And I tell you what, it was absolutely beautiful, but it was difficult on Dad. Well, you'll see it right there. I had a hard time, and just about tough day, my man.
I'm looking. I see.
And just a little bit ago, about 14 months ago, this little dude shows up. His name is Eli, and he's my grandson. So we have gone through all of this, and we have learned, and we have grown. And Ken, you've been along for a lot of the ride here.
Yeah, I have.
And Ken knows my new wife Joy, and she's every bit as sweet. And I got very lucky.
You are very lucky. She's amazing.
I've been blessed.
Yeah.
And by the way, I should tell this right now. I've only dated 2 women in my entire life, and I've married both of them. Now this is where all guys go, "Are you kidding me?" And all women say, "Oh."
Exactly.
Yeah. So we do this. So the point is to take from the story, and I needed to set this up for you. I know it's pretty standard on webinars to set it up and give you a little history about what we are so you kind of understand who we are. But in my case, you have to understand that the story is what set the success of my business up. I didn't make it up. I didn't lie. I didn't listen to a seminar and have somebody tell me, hey, what's your why and what's your big story and, what's your fable and what's your mythology and all that stuff, all the stuff that Frank Kern taught, which is absolutely fantastic. And I actually have studied all. I know him. I do that stuff. But what made it work was I shared my story, but I got smart about it. I shared it with a purpose called ROI, return on investment. You see, I had no choice, guys. I'm not trying to capitalize on anything, but I had no job. I had to make money, and everything had been taken away from me. And when that happens, you have no credit rating left either because your life crashes. So I had no choice but to pick it up and do it, and I did it. So what I began to do is I began to call this something I called podcast persuasion. This is something I never, I didn't share for a long time. I kind of kept it quiet for a little bit, but this is what's going to be considered the back end of what I do. So when you listen to how I do a podcast versus how everybody else does it, and how I train people to do it, we have a totally different mentality. And that's why I tell you, put your head on a swivel and get ready to turn it. Because we don't really care about anything other than using the vehicle of a podcast to turn prospects into high-value clients. And when I say I get $5,000 a month, I can prove it all day long. And every single one of them came from an email or a phone call. Hey, man, I listened to you on iTunes, probably for free. Then they stepped into 1995, and after a couple of months, they wanted more. It's no accident they wanted more. I led them down the path to get there. And a few will step up. That's the funnel. That's how we do it. We nurture them. I'll talk a whole lot more about that. I don't know the level of expertise on this call, but I will do the best I can. So let's go through what we'll cover here. And I tell you, we got a lot to cover here, a whole bunch of really cool stuff, and I'm going to go into detail it for you as much as I can. Ken, we have, 3 hours? Is that what we have tonight?
I scheduled 4.5, actually.
4.5. Oh, thank you. Okay, we're good. Awesome.
Yeah, take your time.
So let's start with.
Everyone's like, you got to be kidding me. No, we're gonna be good. And for some of you that are having sound issues, I am recording it now. Of course, with the way technology goes, if the recording doesn't come out, my apologies. So stay with us, even if your sound is iffy. Stay with us. Because I can't. No, it's not you, Scott. You sound perfect to me.
Okay.
But some people are having some sound issues, so I want to acknowledge that and just do what you can to stay with us. Try and come back in if you need to. But as I said, I am doing my damnedest to record it, and so far so good.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Well, here's kind of what we'll fly through: serialized episodes, slippery slope, cross the funnel, money value, tripwire conversion, iTunes top ranked, and back in bonanza.
I like that one.
We'll cover most of these, but let's get going. Yeah, no doubt about that. Serialized episodes. Now, I made a point to emphasize this in the beginning of the program because, let's discuss the two words separately, then we'll put them together. We'll do it backwards first. So let's talk about episodes, or what might be called episodic. People ask me what I do, and I always tell them I do serialized episodic podcast. What that means is, like a television show, when you watch a TV show, you're going to get a beginning, a middle, and an end. Beginning, middle, and an end, right? So that's an episode. When you tune in to say, I like this series, The Blacklist. It's getting ready to come back on TV here pretty soon. I love James Slater. It's a wicked show, but I love watching it. Every single show is an episode. and you watch it, and it's very satisfying. Oh my gosh, I have to stay, and they pull you through it. And right at the end, you're very satisfied with what happened, but it didn't quite finish, did it? No, you got to come back next week to finish it, and the next week after that. The series 24 that was on television for a long time, the same thing. It was 24 episodes spread across a series. So if you begin to think of your podcast as a series of episodes where everything happens one after the other, but here's what the viewer gets or the listener gets. They understand that, hey, this is really cool. I really like what I'm hearing today. How awesome is this? Wait a second. How long's he been around? Something happened last week? I missed that. Oh my gosh, where do I get that? Oh, wait a second. Something new is coming up next week? How do I get more of this? So you understand the concept. So within the episode, we are satisfying them, or we're letting them know, hey, Bucko, you missed something good last week, and if you're not around next week, you are going to really kick yourself. This is how we serialize an episode. Now, this is as old as time. I know a lot of people on the intertube think that hey, you know all the tricks. Trust me, you don't know all the tricks. The tricks have been thought of a long time ago. It's just now moving to a new medium. But serializing of stories began years ago, but probably the best place you can look at are the books. All the early writings, really up until about probably 1920, 1930, were all serials. And if you go to Amazon right now, you'll see very many serialized programs where they do an episode every single week, and after about 6 weeks, turn it into a series. So put that in your mind. When you're doing a podcast, every single thing flows from the last one to this one to the next one, and you become special just by that. It's not an episode just because you said it is. It is one because it is part of a series. Next, Joseph Sugarman, one of the most amazing copywriters on the planet. I have studied virtually everything he's done. By the way, one of the tricks to what I do is I have studied virtually all the masters of marketing and sales. I put my time in, so I know how to do this stuff, and that's what makes it work. That's why I can teach people how to do this. Slippery slope means this. It's like writing a sales letter. When you look at the headline of a sales letter, I'm going to ask Ken, because I know he's kicking around back there. Ken, what is the purpose of the headline of a sales letter?
Simply to have them read the next line.
Thank you. And the purpose of the next line, sir?
To read the next line.
Yeah, and you get the point. It keeps going, doesn't it?
Exactly.
And where do we land? We land on the order form. So if you apply the slippery slope to a podcast, we're episodically and serialogically. Ooh, that's a word I've never said before. Serialogically.
Wow. Serialogically.
Is that a word? Wow. We're putting a slippery slope on it. So we're putting you in there. Now we have that in play. But now I'm going to spin your head around. I promised I would. Alex Mendoza was sitting in my audience about a month ago. This guy totally freaked out when I taught what I'm about ready to teach you. He had never thought of it in the way I'm thinking of it. He got it. This is the oldest formula of all time. The AIDA formula. This is used for advertising. It is attract attention for your listener, increase interest for longer listening, build desire, and ignite engagement, motivate your listener to action. And I added one on. I still have to move that. It's not really good there, but it works. Consider yourself product placement. I want you to log this in your brain right now because we're going to lay this together and I'll teach you how to do this. We have to attract the attention. We have to increase their interest. We have to build desire so they want you, and we have to move them to action. The truth is, your podcast is not over until they move into action. Just because you said, hey, go to my website and opt in, doesn't mean they move to action. It doesn't end. In fact, they don't get to be happy until they opt in someplace else. Now, at the bottom line where it says consider product placement, what I mean by that is that you're the product. You are the bourbon chicken man at the patio at the mall. You are the Coca-Cola cup on American Idol. You are sampling. You're putting out samples of yourself. So we're talking about converting a prospect to a high-end client. So you got to be smart about how you do things, because if you're a knucklehead on a podcast, a high-end client's not going to hire you for $5,000 a month. So remember, when you're entertaining, when you're connecting, when you're interviewing, you are a product and people are judging you while you speak. If you want to make high money, you got to think about that. So let's move on. Let's break this down from the to the very first part of it here as we take a deep dive, if you will. Get attention. This is where it all starts. Now, if you listen to what I do in my Daily Boost podcast, a great example of how I do it, you'll find that I always do a little kiss first. I tease you a little bit. I'm talking about, hey, it's hot, summertime's coming to an end. Lately, I've been talking about school starting again. Very first thing you hear out of my mouth is just something that kind of everybody has in common, and I'm just like you, and man, I'm so glad to be here. I'm not getting right to the content. I never get right to the content. You know why? Because the people who want me to get the content never want to give me any money. I want people who are willing to listen to me for who I am and draw them through to the point that they go, man, this guy knows his stuff. Then I'll talk to them. Then I'll give them tons of content at that point, but not until then. Until you want to come in and show me a little bit of skin in the game, I'm not giving you any more. I'm kissing, I'm teasing, I'm establishing commonality. I'm positioning my content. Why should the listener be excited? Coming up on today's show, we are going to teach you how to discover your why, how to make $1,000, how to set goals like never before, or how to succeed without setting goals. How would you like to do that? We begin to position the content. Then we open the magical NLP loop. It's in David Allen's books as well. We say, hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but we've got something really cool. I want to give this to you. Make sure you have a place to note where I send you, because I'm going to give you a website at the end of this program. That's called an open loop. I'm teasing my money magnet. Now, the reason I'm doing it at the beginning of the program is because they're more qualified. If they listen to me for the entire program and then they opt in, they're a much more qualified prospect than they are if they just opt in right away. They don't know me. So I don't care. These people, I don't care. If you listen to the whole thing, you have some skin in the game. Now you're going to opt in. You're going to like me. I'm going to take you to the next step. Now here's the other thing. You'll hear a lot in the podcast community that well, we do our ads right up front because it's likely people won't be around at the end. Well, here's what I say to that. If you have a podcast that people don't listen to the end, you suck, and you need to get better at what you do. Because I should pick up. It's called rising action. I should make the podcast better as it gets further along and hold anticipation to the point that you're demanding more at the end. If you can do that, and there's a process to doing that, you will absolutely drive people to your website. And then I have an engagement question. On Mondays, as an example, I always ask, hey, have you done your homework? And all I mean by have you done your homework is have you done a little personal development, a little introspective work?
It's a great question. It's a great question. You get me every time. You get me every time.
Well,
every time.
Yeah, and 6 years later, people actually do it. What it is, it just means, guys, pay attention to what you're doing. Agendas are pushing us all around. People are guiding you every direction. If you don't pay attention to you, you'll never get what you want. And I really mean that. Turn the email off, turn the phone off, not because somebody said to, because you need some thinking time with you. Do it and you'll succeed. And while I'm on this point, I will tell you this. The number one way for you to succeed in this world, and being a personal development guy, this is what they pay me the big bucks for, is you shut it all down, you decide what you want, you lock yourself in your room, you build your product, you write your book, you do whatever it is, and you expose it to the world. And they will go, where have you been? And they will get in line behind you. Stop following everybody else. You'll never get anywhere. All you'll get to do is pay them more money. All right, increase interest. Right, Ken? Am I right on that?
Yep.
I'm right on that. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the up. So when we move into the podcast a little bit more, we need to introduce the big idea. Now, the big idea is, like I said, it could be a goal setting, it could be how to make money, it could be search engine optimization, whatever it is. Introduce the big idea. And then we want to sell the benefit of why they should listen. Notice I didn't say sell the feature. I said sell the benefits. Hey, you get this big idea figured out, you're going to have a membership site that's going to give you residual and passive income. That's a benefit. Then we want to teach the big idea. And we want to suggest that there is a solution and that we have the solution. You'll see why I say that in just a minute. We use metaphors, we use story, we use exercises, whatever you do well as a teacher. And you are a teacher, by the way. You are a teacher, even if you're just trying to get attention. When you have somebody's attention, when they're dialed into you through the intimacy of a podcast that's inside your ear, they're listening to every word you say. They feel you in their breath. So you're teaching them. So you have to go into this place where you're teaching them. Toward the end of the content segments, we're going to recap the big idea and offer ideas how they might use it. We want them to go out and use what you taught them, and only when they can use what you taught them do you have value. Otherwise, you're just another person they listen to. Now, remember what I said there. We want them to remember why you. They want to use the ideas, because when we get down here to build desire, we're going to do something kind of interesting. We're going to take logic, emotion plus logic, and understand this equation equals results. All buying decisions happen from an emotional place. We get you excited about something, but you're only going to make that decision when we logically make sense to you. When we do that, you cross over and you buy. You've done it 1,000 times. This is what we're doing on a podcast. If you do it right. I bought my motorhome. Trust me, I shot for 2 years to buy that. It was pure emotion. And then suddenly here comes a logic. An amazing thing happens as soon as they get enough logic into you. You go emotional again. Oh gosh, yes, let's do it. And you do it. That's what I did. What we need to do is we just taught. We were in a teaching section where we're teaching people how to do whatever we want them to do. And now we need to connect it back with some emotion because we've just been teacher. I use what I call the velvet hammer. I drop my voice low and I play some soft music, and I do it bringing out the inner guru. And here's what I mean by that, and you'll get this if you listen to me. And you don't have to have, and my voice is not real strong tonight. It's kind of worn out, but you don't have to have that kind of presentation that I do. The voice doesn't really matter. But what matters is your heart comes back to the table. You at some point have to say, hey, I just taught you this, and you put it together with the emotion, and you allow them to feel gratitude for you. You say you're proud of them. Now listen very closely when I tell you this. Your listener must feel gratitude for you. In other words, when they talk to somebody about what they learned, somebody says, hey, where'd you figure that out? Oh, I learned it from Scott Smith on the Daily Boost podcast. Not, oh, I learned it from some podcast on iTunes. Do you listen to podcasts? The only way you'll get there is you connect the emotion with the logic of the lesson and become the guru and really let them feel proud that they were here in this moment while you taught them. If you can build that, you build a real rapport with them. Now, finally, we go to the call to action. Now, the call to action is pretty cool because what we have here is we have to change our state of mind back to reality. If you've ever done any stage speaking, you understand that once we get a crowd moving in a room and we want to get them to really take the action we want them to take. If we leave them in a place of la-la land where we just lulled them into this emotional bliss, they're not going to buy. Not because they don't want to, it's because that's not where they are. They're the furthest thing from a credit card they could ever be. And so what we want to do is we want to move them back into reality. We simply do that by taking our guru hat off, maybe change the music, get upbeat, get real. Wow, that was a good show. It was so cool. Thank you for being here. It's just like, boom, I feel good about what I did today. We close the loop. Remember at the beginning of the show, I told you that I had something very cool. It was free for you. I want you to go to motivationtomove.com. You can get it. It's free. It's called My Top 10 Motivational Truths. It has been downloaded 10 of thousands of times. This one's actually, I'm just thinking the number. It's about 90,000 now. A lot. And I created it because my coaching clients couldn't take action. They knew what they wanted, but then they would stall. And they said, why are we stalling? I said, well, I'll figure it out. And I figured out a coaching program. It worked on them, and I put it into this opt-in freebie I'm going to give away. That's enough really cool verbiage to get them to go sign up. And then I tease the amazing show coming up next. It's something that we call an anticipation agent. It's an agent of anticipation. We want to make sure that they're thinking, oh my God, this was so good. I listened to a great show. I learned the guy's a cool guy. He gave me something free, and look what's coming up next week in the series of episodes. I told you, your head will spin around. Ken, is your head spinning around yet?
It still is, and I've heard some of this before. Hearing it again, it's this. And for some of you guys that are listening, that I spent some time with just recently, like you, Shirley, this is monumental for what you're doing, and this is what you and Virginia and Lynn and a number of you guys that have been part of the program. Julianne, same. This is really super important for every one of you. Doriana, I'm just going off some of the names of people that I see. I mean, Alexandrina, for your course, every one of you needs to pay close attention. The call to action and what Scott's talking about is foundational to your success.
Foundational, and I tell you, this is nothing I came up with yesterday. I mean, there's a lot of podcast gurus out here that have been teaching it for about 2 years now, and they're making a lot of money doing it. Nobody's teaching what I'm doing, and nobody can do what I do unless they're taught to do it. They're not thinking this way. This is 7,000 plus episodes, doing podcasts since 2005 and never missing a beat and growing a very large business doing it. So this is the real stuff. You know, the truth is this guy, Steven Spielberg would be his name. He needs a bunch of dinosaurs. He needs a Hollywood studio. He needs Hollywood actors. He needs $200 million. You need this, guys, and a little knowledge. With that, you can change the world. I call, by the way, podcast behind the scenes, I call them mouth movies because that's what I think I'm creating. We generate a hero's journey within our program. I teach you how to do that. I don't have time to do that tonight, but I actually overlay the emotion and the logic and the results into the ADA formula, and I overlay the standard Hollywood hero's journey, the 3-act play, where we have to call to action and call to adventure and then see what they do. We overlay that into our podcast. We make our podcast listener the hero, and we challenge them to take action. That's one of the ways we get them to do that. Interest is not enough. We create a challenge, and people love challenges, and we're able to do that. Now, what happens when we get to this point? We are just getting going here. What you're going to hear right now is kind of stage 2, and we'll go through this relatively quickly, but this is really cool. And what I call this is crossing to funnel, or cross to funnel. I coined this term for myself talking to my daughter one day. I said, hey, cross into funnel. And here's what I mean by that. On a podcast, you don't have a hot link. A podcast, people are busy. A podcast, people are on the airplane, they're in their car, they're on the treadmill, they're not paying attention to you. So you have a monumental task. You must get them to cross from the podcast to your funnel. If you can't get them to do it, you won't get a business, ever. So we have to do a cross. So we call it cross the funnel. This is kind of like the old days, or even the new days. If you see a TV commercial, a direct response commercial on TV, those 1-800 commercials where they sell product, you have no idea how hard that is. In 2 minutes time to get somebody to watch your commercial, get you to decide to buy it and pull your credit card out and then call and wait on hold for 10 minutes while you get them. Really hard to do. So we've kind of got the same thing with the podcast. Again, wrap your head around that. It is a chasm as large as the Grand Canyon. It's difficult to do, which is why you can put all the effort you want in a podcast, but if you can't get them to your funnel, you can't do anything with them. In other words, we need an email address or at least a mobile phone number or something that we can go back and we can start to nurture them into what we want. Now, you know what a funnel looks like. It looks like this. There are tons of them out there. I tend to think of the funnel differently. Again, head spinning time. Another coin, a term I coined called the social funnel, because podcasting is social. And if you tend to look at anybody out there, they'll lump it in that category. It is a social medium. Even iTunes tried their own social network within the iTunes Music Store. It's a social platform. So we think of our funnel as a social funnel because I think funnels are filled with people. I know people talk about them as being filled with dollars all the time. I just can't wrap my head around the dollar thing. I mean, I like the dollars that come out of my funnel, but there are people in there, and they're happy people, because when they arrive at your podcast, believe it or not, they are not upset. They are here hoping for a solution and a benefit, and they really hope and pray that you will help them. And they're happy when they arrive, and the only way you can make a sad face is if you just don't deliver. So when they arrive, they're in a couple of different places. They don't know you. They get to know you. They know you. They know they like you. They know they want to buy from you. Traditional funnel applied to a social funnel. And what happens? You end up with at least one really happy person. Now, that happy person, if he's not a social misfit, probably has a bunch of friends. Why are you so happy all the time? Well, I listen to Scott's podcast because he teaches me all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, cool. Really? Yeah. See, they love and trust you already. That trust is transferred to their friends. Their friends kind of enter your funnel. I heard about this podcast. I'm going to jump right in. And they already trust. There's no barrier to entry. They buy quickly because they have all these multiple levels of trust, and they share the good news with their friends. Now, notice how it expands. So you bring a bunch of people in, one person gets happy, he shares the love, and the love begins to spread, and you end up with this. All kinds of happy podcast listeners. It's social, yet, as you can tell, I'm doing the social move, but very much paying attention to the traditional marketing funnels to get people there. I'm applying a lot of different layers here to make this happen. It's not hard to do once you begin to think this way. Now, what do we do when we get all these happy people? Where do we take them? We can take them to the beach if we want to, but we can't make any money. We can say, see you next week. It's been so much fun, but we can't make any money. So to steal a term from Frank Kern, we have to run to the money magnet. Now, the money magnet is, it plays a vital role in what I do. And I will tell you that there's a couple of little things I think that maybe have made the business grow, but this is the one that keeps it growing. This is the one that's been consistent from day one. And the one I have right now is literally 3 years old. It's out of date. It doesn't look like the website. It doesn't even match the offer on the website. And it still works. I'm making every mistake in the book. I just haven't got back to fixing it. So a money magnet essentially allows us to cross from the non-buying environment of a podcast. Podcasts are not for selling, and they're not for buying. People will not do that. They'll get mad at you and they won't listen. So we have to kind of be covert on it. We want to move them from the non-buying environment into the buying environment that is the money magnet. This is a place where we begin to compress time. And this is where you have to understand this. Now, Money Magnet is a perceived and actual high-value gift. It's not an ebook anymore. None of that silly stuff people are playing with. It is an actual, real high-value gift that's actually going to do something for them that's going to change their life. It solves an urgent problem. If you're fiddling with anything but an urgent problem, you're wasting your time. Whatever you're selling and trying to fix, people have to have a need right this moment. That's what's going to cause them to push the button and give you some money. It has to deliver real and useful strategies. If you are holding back, as you can tell tonight, I'm actually not holding back. If I leashed on you, we'd be here all night long. I'm going as fast as I can to give you real strategies. I am not holding back. I use this stuff every single day. You got to do the same thing. You have to prove your expert status. Prove your expert status. I am so tired of people saying, I'm an expert. I said, well, how long have you been an expert at this? Well, my coach said this is my niche. Oh, great. You got to know what you're doing, guys. I am a well here. You can't stump me. I've done it so long. I know it inside and out. This is my wheelhouse, my friend. And when you get it, and something in your life is your wheelhouse. There's something in what you're doing right now on your podcast, on your blog, whatever it happens to be, that is your wheelhouse. That's what you got to do. And it has to be in your money magnet. Your prospect's not going to buy otherwise. So this is something I started doing this about a year ago. I began to call my money magnet my indoctrination. And the reason I called it my indoctrination is because the money magnet has to move people along. Let me just take a second and explain that to you. I told you a story tonight about my history. And I have lots of stories that I use to tell stories. And every single item that I put in one of my programs has a story behind it. It's all metaphor driven. So I took probably 10 minutes to tell you my story, but I can't do that on a 9-minute podcast. So let's go back one step here. I get a little confused here. So what happens is when we're going through the money magnet here, we're able to basically take a lifetime worth of experience and pull the stories people out that they need to know. So Ken's been with me for a couple of years, but I can literally in an hour's time compress 9 or 10 or 30 years of my life into one program that delivers really good strategies for you. So by the end, what's the result? I've given you tips you can really use that really work, and I've also got you to love me. I got you to know who I am. I've indoctrinated you into the way Scott thinks. I took you to the school of Scott and gave you a little Scott logic, all by putting it in a money magnet. Now, you saw when I talked about tripwire conversion. This is really cool. Pay attention to this because this is really what makes this work. As we're going through the money magnet, the little program, we tell them the money magnet is based on a larger product. If you don't have a larger product, you'll have to create something or buy something from somebody that you can sell, resell it, something like that. But you need a larger product. And what we want to do during the course of whatever freebie we give them, like I said, my top 10 motivational truths, I casually mention that it comes from a bigger product. In my case, it comes from a program called Face Your Passion. I can't possibly talk about a 9-hour Face Your Passion program in a 1-hour program, but these are the highlights from it. And it's at motivationtomove.com. You can get it. And I just casually mention it throughout the whole program. So when I get near the end, about 10 minutes before the end of the program, I say, you know what? I think I mentioned a couple times that this program is based on Face Your Passion. Did I mention it was inside the membership site at motivationtomove.com? The whole first module is there, and everything is there, and you can go try it all. We have a few other programs there as well you might like. But what's really cool, it's only $1 for 30 days. So it's really easy, and it's guaranteed. I mean, it's $1. What are you going to do? So if this speaks to you, why don't you go ahead and jump in and try it? Let me tell you, once we get them opted in to our conversion, we are at 95% conversion to paid. 95% conversion to paid after they opt in to our product. And this is exactly why it works. Alex Mendozian, among others, could not believe what I was doing until I proved to them what I was doing, and then they sat back and said, I am a student of yours. This works.
This is what got me so excited because that's exactly the way I modeled it, following exactly what you taught, Scott. It's just elegant and brilliant, and it's a give.
It's a give. And, I will tell you that, to get there, you got to stop and think about it a little bit. I mean, I'm laying out the foundation for you. If you can do this, it'll work for you. There's some finessing that has to be done to get this to happen. And you'll get there after 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 tries. It'll get there. Just take a long weekend. You'll get there. But yeah, see how you're right. Elegant. It's simple. It's really not hard to comprehend, and yet look at the logical steps we're doing to take people where we want them to go. And right at the bottom there it says create a campaign to nurture the prospects. I use Infusionsoft. I think Ken's on Infusionsoft as well.
Yep, I am.
And we nurture on email and on mobile and all these things that we automate into that. And so I know that's a lot. That's big for a lot of people, but we didn't start there. We just in the beginning, every 3 days I'd just send an email. I'd nurture them. So if somebody doesn't convert, then they're going to get an email, and it's really not very much. At this point, the top 10 motivational truths, I think, only has 4 emails. It's not a big deal. It's really not bad.
No, it's true. It does. I've been watching. It doesn't have more than that.
It doesn't, and they're not even very good. They're not even good. They work, guys, because it's the sum total of what we're doing here. It's not perfection of any one thing. Ken says I'm a perfectionist. I'm really not. None of us are. If you've been in this business for a long time, you can't be. It's a sloppy, messy mess. Just take massive, imperfect action, and you will succeed. Just go. Just go. Just go. Tonight, we're going, and we're rocking. We're having a good time. Now, let me do this. Everybody wants to know something. How do you get a top-ranked podcast? How do you do that? I'm going to give you a ninja strategy real fast. You could use this today if you want to, or tomorrow morning. You need 4 episodes at least and a complete funnel. Okay? Because in my case, a top-ranked podcast means nothing unless you convert them to a customer. So I want you to have at least 4 so you sound good and a funnel. I want you to optimize your RSS feed. So it's a search engine, guys. You got to make sure that it's drawing enough people can find you. It's just like Google. So optimize that. Not hard to do. You can launch with an initial promotion, PR web, PR reach, email, all that stuff works. Always announce your new episodes. Always, 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 because that's an event. And when you have an event, people make a mental note, almost like a mental appointment to go download it. And activity on iTunes is what allows you to actually rise to the top. And then have a continuous automated promo campaign and use some Facebook retargeting if you want to. And what happens is, as people opt in, by having this nurture campaign, we can do this. Now, by the way, I want to give you a ninja trick. I can't believe it's on here. I think I always mention it, but I didn't put it on my slides. Here's what you do. If you have an email list of any kind, and say you even have 1,000 people on your email list, and you have a podcast, when you release your podcast, send out an email to about 200 people, and watch what happens. Just say, hey, I got a new podcast. Here's a link. Watch as it goes up a little bit, and then check in there. When it starts to drop just 1 or 2 places, send another 200 people, and then when it drops, send another 200 people. So you're not bothering your list with a bunch of emails, and you're getting action, and you're getting enough activity on a continuous daily basis, and that's the trick with iTunes. And over 7 days, you'll rise yourself right to the top. And when you get to the top, people can find you easier, and you will begin to grow. Is that a cool tip or what, huh, Ken?
It's so smart. It's so smart. You guys can jump in the chat. I'm chatting with whoever talks to me in the chat, so you can feel free and participate here, because we get a lot of people are super excited right now.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I can't see the chat right now for whatever reason.
No. You stay focused because you're doing great. This is absolutely great. But I'm taking care of everyone's like super excited.
Beautiful. Okay. So this is. Sometimes this is a little bit of information overload for you. Listen, when you're sitting with a guy like Alex Benzosian in the front row of your seminar, and he's taking notes. Alex, if you know Alex, he's a really good student. He will sit down and take notes. He's a good guy. And I saw there was a moment in time during my presentation when I released this the first time that he just rolled his eyes and put his pen down and like he didn't know what to say. He did not know what to say. And when I saw that, I knew I had it. I knew I had it because I've done it a long time. Like I said, I call this podcast persuasion, and it is how to turn podcast prospects into high value clients. And you can see that's exactly how we do it. And I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'm going to continue to teach like crazy here because that's what I do. And I'm not going to slow down whatsoever. But I do want to show you what I put together here. And I'm a little reluctant to do this. I'm going to be very honest with you. This is no game. This is not an internet game at all. You can't find it online because what happened is the program I'm about ready to tell you about, I went out and I was asked to do it by a gentleman. I did it, and I told the crowd when I was there, I will not open this up again, and I certainly won't. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not. And so Ken, you got me in trouble, man. And that's not a lie. I don't think they're going to get mad at me, but it is going to be limited, and you'll see it in just a minute here. So let me get into this a little bit. Podcast persuasion. We put this together for you tonight. Everything I've taught you tonight is what we're doing, and we have this program that is going on right now. And it pretty much teaches all this stuff. It's live coaching, it's principles of podcast persuasion, structure, formatting, pros, tips, everything you need that we just talked about. And at a very in-depth program. It is among the highest quality produced programs that are out there. And when I sat down to do this, I really didn't want to do this again. I wanted to make it the best program, the one that was not a podcast, the one that allowed you to make money. And I didn't want to make it very long either, so we tried to keep it down in size as much as we could. It's a very cool program that includes some coaching, some instructional coaching, weekly coaching. We do what's called an air check session. That's cool stuff. Did you know that disc jockeys and talk hosts, when they get off the air, they go into the program director, and the program director reviews them and helps them sound better? Well, that's what I do in this program. I help you sound better. We do talent coaching, refinement. We make sure you get the voice sounds right so you don't sound all whiny and stuff. I can brainstorm content. I can help you with your persuasion technique. I'm a master at that. And we do this in the program, plus your conversion evaluation. If you're not getting it right, we have to tweak a few things. production resources, the whole thing. So we actually put together a whole lot here to help you to learn and do exactly what I've been doing and talking about the whole time. In fact, there it is right there. It really is a lot. And when I put this first together, I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Now, I will tell you, if you just bear with me a second here. Oh, look, I have a typo there. Number 4 is on the wrong line, Ken. Why'd you let me do that?
I missed that one.
If you look at we've done modules 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, there's 2 typos on the page, man. See how fast we worked at this today? But we're still making 4, 5, and 6. And the coaching calls are now live, and people are so thrilled. And so I'm just being honest with you that we're in the process of doing this, and we're literally going through the process right now. So I'm adding you to a group that is thrilled and halfway through it. They've had to wait for 6 weeks to get these modules. We already have several things already done for you, including the first 3. But I want to add a couple things to it as well, if I may. If you look down at the bottom there of that page, I thought about this, and I said, I'm going to end up spending time with you anyway. That's the bottom line. And I want you to know that you can talk to me. So we toss in a half-hour private strategy session. I truly do make that every single hour. It's really stupid. Well, actually, it's more than that now. That's weird. When I think back, like when I started, all I ever heard was, how do people make $500 or $1,000 an hour online? And now I'm looking at thinking, okay, I still don't know how, but we do it. It's crazy. So you're going to get that with me. Plus, you're going to get a motivationtomove.com membership for 90 days. Now, the reason I do that is very simple. I think you need to hear what I do. I think you need to be indoctrinated to what I do to help. And I'm going to offer you something here in just a minute that if you're not a member, I won't give you, because I don't sell it. I don't give it to anybody else. If you're not a member, I'm not going to do it because I have to maintain some integrity here, so I'm not going to. So just know you have those things. I have a funny story. We were down at JV Zoo, and Lee Collins walked into me. I hadn't seen him since NAMS up in Atlanta, and Lee said, literally, dude, I have to tell you, Podcast Persuasion, it's the best. And he literally said, it's worth every bit of $2,000. And you know what, Ken, did you see me do what I did? I had a chance to bomb the stage and actually promote my product. And while I was up there,
I did. I saw you do that. You beat me to the front of the stage, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I beat you up there. And the first thing I did was I said, Lee Collins, how much did you say it was worth? And he screamed it out, $2,000.
And this is true. This is true, you guys. I was there. This is exactly true.
You were there.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm not. I have no need to lie, man. I talk too much to lie. So Lee said it's $2,000, so I'm going to charge you $2,000. Oh, wait a second. Who put that line on there? Selling price next time you see it? Really? That's true, man. I can't do that. Listen, it's not in beta, but we're in. This is what Jeff Walker would call a seed launch. So we're well into it. We have about 30% to go. That's about it. We'll be done in about 2 weeks. So you won't even be to the other stuff before it arrives in your inbox. And it's a membership site type of thing that we have you in. Well, it's not a membership site, but it's it's private access. So I'm not going to do that. So I said, let's cut it in half and charge $9.97 for it, which I think is a pretty good price for this. So you get all that for $9.97 plus the strategies that I have and the bonuses and everything else. We're only going to sell it to 26 people tonight. But I said I had something else for you. And I thankfully have written it down so that I don't mess up here. Podcast promotion. This is why you have to be a member. People come to me all the time and they say, Scott, would you promote my podcast for me? Well, I will if you're in this group. If you're in this group, I will. And what that means is on my Daily Boost podcast, which averages about 200,000 downloads a month, depending on the time of year, it could be more than that, I'm going to recommend my audience go listen to you. And the way I can get away with integrity is say, one of my members, one of my clients has a new podcast I think you'll enjoy. Remember, this is an old school RSS feed. It's been around about 8 years now, which means these are true hardcore podcast listeners, the best you'll get. So I will do that for you for part of the program. When I was in Atlanta, you know this guy? Do you know Joel Comm, by the way? You know Joel, right?
Sure.
So Joel's a cool dude, and we were speaking in Atlanta, and I was presenting, and he was presenting. We were across the hall. He literally came up to me afterwards. He said, I heard you kicked my ass. He said, yes, I did. People were leaving his room coming to mine because we were having so much fun. And literally he said to me, what were you giving stuff away? I wasn't giving it away. We were selling this same product up there, and I think I was selling it for $9.97 at the time. And man. Did you do that?
I did, by remote control. Right. I have power.
You made me put the darn thing together all day long.
I did.
And okay, whatever. I'll honor it. So there's 3 bonuses there for you, but I can do better than that, can I? Because you know I can. We have to. We're on a webinar.
You
We have
will.
to.
You will.
We have to.
I have
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 'cause you've been screwing my darn PowerPoint here, man. How about an email blast? We have a list of about 25,000 people, and these are certified podcast listeners. That's all. That's where they came from. They've been with me forever. What would the power be if I sent a podcast endorsing your podcast? Send an email doing that. So I will do that as well. I will do it separate of the endorsement on the podcast. I'll do it as part of the email blast because that's going to keep you pumping up in the rankings. This alone by itself is going to shoot you right up at the top. Now, I will tell you, your content has to be good, and it will be once you learn how to do this. But your content has to be good. You got to do good presentation, or you won't stay at the top. So we need to train you first, get you in the right mindset to get there. Once you get there, we'll blast you to the top, and then you have a really fighting chance to stay there. And that's what you got to do to save it. So we were like, did you say, what was it, 897, I think? Ken, stop it. Dude, you're messing with me here, man.
It's the Scott and Ken show.
You and your fingers on the damn keyboard. All right, well, there you go. So all those bonuses there. And I mentioned Alex Mendozian a couple of times. Alex said, I want to pay you double. A fun story here, guys. Alex was in the front row. He said, I want to pay you double. He handed me his credit card during the program, and I wasn't even taking cards. He handed it to me. That's an old school trick, right? And then he says, no, really, I want to pay you double because it's worth it. He pulled money out of his pocket, $100 bills, and put them in my pocket. So he paid double for it. And a little bit after that, we were in the other room. He comes up, he says, I want to hire you. I want to be your student. He said, be gentle, but charge me. You know I have a lot of money. And we're beginning to work that relationship right now. I cannot believe Alex Mendozian hired me. I'm a humble guy. It's been a long, long road. And to have a guy like that come up me has made my day. So therefore, Ken, we're back to $2,000. That's where we are right now.
You're so cute.
I got you back, man.
You're so cute.
I did. Well, listen, I got control of the keyboard too. You can't do everything on this end. You know what people ask me though all the time? They all say one thing. Scott, how do you do 16 podcasts a week? Ken, how many did you do? One a week?
I did. I was doing one a day actually. I did the one free one, and then we did one every day, and that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
I do 16 a week. In fact, people ask me. So what I will do as well is I have recorded this. This was a pre-course bonus. It's already done, and how I produce 16 podcasts a week. I truly do it in less than 4 hours. We've documented that, how I do it. It takes about 4 hours, 3:45 to 4 to get them all done, including show prep. What's my process? How do I accelerate it? How do I get it fast? I don't expect you to do 16 podcasts a week, but what I do want you to do is to actually be able to really do one podcast and not spend your whole day. Do an hour podcast and be done in an hour and a half. That's what I want you to do. You're not going to do what I do. Or you can if you want to, and have fun with it. It's quite a chore. So we'll toss that in as well, and we will just do that for it's 1, 2, 3, 4 bonuses and the Ken. We started at $9.97. Now you're at $6.97. What are you doing to me, dude? All right. All right. You know what? Here's the thing. This is I'm having some fun with you tonight, just because I'm tired of the way people do things. I just to be honest, I know what it's worth. It's going to sell for $2,000. You have my honest to God word. We're going to sell for $2,000. If not, you just let me know and scream at me and all that stuff. We're going to do that. But I know what I need to get out of it tonight in order to make it worth my while to even bring you into the program. But I thought, why not? Let's have some fun. Let's entertain you a little bit, enjoy it along the way, because I think that's what podcasting is all about. It's about having fun, taking people on a journey, getting some engagement going on. Now, this is the rules. They're very simple. It is limited to 26 people. Where did I get that number? I brought 26 in the first time. I will bring 26 in this time. I will not do this webinar again. I will not bring anybody else in. If I get 5 people, I only get 5 people. After this, I close the doors. I had a conversation with you, Ken, just before we got on the phone tonight, didn't I? I told you that.
Yep.
And then I said, are you going to do a replay? And he said, yeah. And I said, really? But I'm going to let him do it.
And I usually don't. Because I want people to actually show up.
I just want this to be really good. I really have to pay attention to the people that get in the program. Listen, when you buy this program tonight, you're giving money. You're giving mostly your time. To me, time is most valuable. Man, I respect that, and I'm not going to screw with you. And so I just can't take people in. This is an automated system, but I'm dealing with you guys individually. Do the math. That's 52 people. So I got to be real careful with this. The only way I can pull it off is that some people will go right away. Some people will lag a little bit. They won't be talking to me for a month or two. That's how I can do this. 26 If not, we expire within 24 hours of right now, so about 9:59 is what I said, but about 10 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern time. It will cost $2,000 next time. It won't cost you that today. I just kept going, Ken. I just took it all the way down. So this is what I want to do. This is what you get, everything here for $597. And I believe, Ken, there's a guarantee, and I think you're doing payments, right?
We did, as a matter of fact. Well, we gave you guys the option. So if you want to go and save some money, go to totalpreneur.com/podcast. I will put that in the chat. I have been delinquent about that. So let's do it right now. So if you do that, go to totalpreneur.com. Same thing that's on the slide, /podcast. That'll get you to the page for Scott's page. And if you want, actually, Scott, if you want to go to that page, you can show exactly what it looks like.
Oh, I can? Wow.
Yeah, same. No extra charge. Okay, and I'm putting that in there. Now, if you do need a 2-payment option, since Scott mentioned it, you can go to totalpreneur.com/podcast 2, the number 2 right after it. And that'll give you a 2-pay option, which of course will cost you a little bit more because we do have finance costs associated with it. But either way, you can get in tonight for as little as $327 or save money and pay in full. With the $597, and because I love using PayPal so much, the PayPal credit, which used to be called PayPal Payflow, not Payflow Pro, whatever, it's Bill Me Later. So /podcast. Anyway, the Bill Me Later thing allows you to actually get in with no money for 6 months, so you can actually have the whole thing pay for itself by the time your first bill shows up. So
there it is.
There you go. So that's the whole thing, and you can hit the add to cart button. If you scroll down, you'll actually see the guarantee on that. So Scott wants to make sure you're 1,000,000% happy. We like happy. Happy's good. So there you go. It's all about happy. So go ahead and grab it right now, because again, this is not going to continue. Scott, we discussed it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, just one thing, you missed some of the. Oh no! Oh, you didn't highlight all the bonuses. Oh, I see what you did. Okay, that's fine.
What I did, I just copied. Oh, I didn't. I just copied your HTML. I didn't see the difference in color there.
Don't ever copy what I do. Come on, man. I'm only a perfectionist because you helped me be one. We're and we have a lot of fun, guys, and you can see that's how we do this, and it's very interactive. It's very fun. I wear myself out doing it, and this has been fun. As always is the case, you spend all day working on something, and it's a blast, man.
It's fun. We did put this together pretty quickly for you guys, because again, I took it while I could. In other words, Scott was available and really didn't. I mean, he wasn't ready, and Scott wanted to be totally ready. He wanted to actually have the course completely finished. And one of the things that I teach you, for those of you who have been around me for a while, I'm all about let's go ahead and get your course marketed and then deliver it, and not build it before you sell it, but actually sell it before you do it. And so Scott's mostly done with his course, but he really wanted to wait till it was finished. So I really did pull his arm to do that, and I'm grateful for you to stand by on that. That was really straight up of you to do, Scott.
Hey, does GoToWebinar, can you play video in GoToWebinar?
You know what? It doesn't play very well, and sound usually doesn't work. So I would be hesitant.
Darn.
Yeah.
Darn, because I could show some cool stuff.
Well, here, tell you what. I'll tell you what I'll do. I mean, I don't usually ever do bonuses to encourage sales or any of that kind of stuff. I've never been part of that sensationalism thing. But what I will do, if you got that video, what I will do for all of you guys that sign up tonight, I'll get the videos from Scott. We'll put it on a separate page for members, so you guys can have access to that. And we can go from there. And if you guys want to sit down with me for a strategy session after you talk to Scott, again, because I want to make sure that you're on target with this, I'll be happy to do that. For those of you that are doing web TV shows or other type programs online, you've got to have this program. I mean, whether you're doing podcasting or not, you got to have this program. And here's why. Because what Scott talks about in terms of getting people involved and engaged to come to follow that CTA, to follow that call to action, to get to your site, that's an element of monetization that very few people teach. They're all about, let's go ahead and do a show. But at the end of the day, the show is one thing. It's what pays for the show. And it's not just sponsorships. It's about your actual audience. And the show is a lead generator for you. Gigantic. Scott's been able to take that lead generator, take that show, and turn that into $1.4 million. Okay. And trust me, I've done the math 6 times till Sunday with him. And he hasn't given me all of his numbers. Today's the time I've seen most of the numbers more directly, quite frankly. But I interpolated.
Well, that's not even most of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, truly, when you were on the phone, I didn't want to say, so how much are you making, Scott? But but I did ask you a bunch of different questions that, that had you given me some, and I backed into the numbers, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's doing really super. Oh, wow, look at this.
This is how it starts.
Oh, how cool
How
is
it
that?
starts.
How cool is that? That's nice. That's
That's
nice.
how it starts.
That's super nice. And guys, if you guys have questions, pop them into the chat. I'm watching the chat. Let me actually, I wasn't. Selena says, thanks for sharing. Sheila says, this has been great. Thanks so much. Martin says, is there a down payment? Yeah. So what we've got, Martin, just go. There's a 2Pay of 327. Sorry. We have lifetime access. Great question. Sheila's asking, is it lifetime access to the content, or is it all downloadable?
Both actually. Yeah, it's all downloadable, and I mean, lifetime access is scary because it's like, what if I die or something? But yeah, for now, everybody has lifetime access, absolutely. Now, once you'll have access to the program, we will likely build monthly training into this, like a lot of people do, and help people on a personal level. You won't have access to that unless you choose to do that, but you'll have what you get coming in the door. And again, everything is downloadable. Just click it and download it.
Cool. And when is it going to start?
It's going right now.
Okay, so they're starting to get the.
Yeah, it's going right.
Okay, cool. I thought you're holding off till it was completed, so that's great. So you guys.
No.
Okay.
No, here's what happened is that when we launched this, I launched this. I actually sold it just like I am tonight, but I hadn't done anything. And I told everybody, you got to wait, and I'll make this for you. And so I spent 2 weeks in the studio, and we came up with 3 modules and 2 bonus modules, built all the video, built the entire everything that had to go into it, and I began to launch it for them. So at this point, they're 4 weeks into it. When you come in, you're going to come in right at the beginning. All 4 modules plus the bonus modules open up to you the day one. Everybody else waited 4 weeks to get that. So you'll have a lot to chew on before we get to the final 2 modules. So it's almost done. But
that's
that's
super.
So it's going right now.
That's super. Okay, see, I was not aware of that. So that's super cool. So and I'm seeing like all these things coming through on my email. So a bunch of you have been signing up. Bill Sheila, unfortunately, you're not going to get Bill Me Later because you're in Canada. It's Americans only, and I did not make that rule. It was them. Blame them. So
mean Americans.
Blame them. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case. So, so if that's the case, either do those single or 2Pay, or if that's an issue, just message me and we'll figure something out for you. But we have a bunch of you guys that are signing up. I'm going blank here. Julianne, yay! I knew this was perfect for you. And by the way, Julianne, I had that video of you that I saw today. You look fabulous in the video you and I shot in California. Sam is in. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Sam. Hey, you know what I say, guys, too, and just bear with us here because Ken and our systems don't talk to each other, and it's after 10 o'clock here, so I don't know where you are in the world. So when you come on in, we'll see you, and Ken has to send the information to us, and then we have to give you access to the system. So it'll be overnight. We have my staff has to get out of bed, but they'll open it up in the morning to you, and it'll be there for you.
Cool. Yeah, it's exactly right. So our instant system, whatever, we know that you're there. So for those of you that are in, I'm seeing other names flying across, and I can't read everything so quick. But it will go to Scott tonight. He'll have it in the morning, and then during the day tomorrow you'll get your access. So that's super cool. I really didn't realize that they were going to get instant access like
you didn't know that? Wow.
No, I didn't. I really didn't, Scott. I thought it was going to be like starting in a couple of weeks. So I'm super thrilled now. This is great.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, my daughter who manages that for me, she said to me, "Well, Dad, do you want to drip it out like we did before?" And I said, "Well, there's no need to drip it out because because it's already ready." So we run inside Customer Hub is our membership software, and so you'll go inside of there and you'll be in with everything else we do, and you'll see all the modules sitting there, and you just click on them and off you go.
Super, super cool. So Martin's at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's excited. So he says great information. It's absolutely awesome. So I'll send him a message here. So who's in, by the way, for things I haven't seen, because I don't want to be focusing on my little iPhone here looking at things. If you're in or you're coming in, let me know. Send me a little message on there so I can kind of make sure that we keep an eye for you guys. I'm just sending messages to people here. You're here. So Sam is in. Let's see. Julianne is in. Mary is in. Okay, let's see. Sean is in. Yay, excellent. Okay. Yeah, Sheila, we'll figure something out for you. Why don't you? I'll give you my Skype in. I thought we already talked on Skype, but I'll give you my Skype. Just Skype me, and we'll figure something out. And I'll talk to Scott directly about how we can take care of your needs.
Yeah, we
Um,
can do that.
yeah. So let me just do that real quickly. And you might want to put your Skype in there as well, just to be on the safe side in case you can't find me. Okay, Doug's saying that Rebecca's going to be coming in. Fantastic, yay!
Yay!
Yay, Martin's coming in. He's working on that. Sean says, first time I've heard of Scott. It was the email that brought me here, and it turned into a sale. Fantastic, thanks, Sean. Let me ask.
Thank you, John.
You know what? I don't know this, so answer me. For those of you that are here today, for the first time ever, I did some posting on Google Plus to promote this. Did anybody come in from Google Plus? If you would, just let me know. I should have asked it at the very beginning. That was my mistake in not doing that. Martin says Scott's a real deal, and that's true, Martin. You've been around for a while. Okay, cool. Got you, Sheila. Let's let me know when you want to talk, and we will work it out. Because I am wired right now, so I am. Well, normally, if I was back in Bangkok, it would be 8 a.m. for me. So it's now actually now it would be 9:22 in the morning. So it's the beginning of the day in Bangkok. But for you guys, honest to God, this is, you now understand why I'm kind of in love with Scott Smith. You know, I mean, he just knows his stuff. He's not hesitant at all to share it. He's absolutely terrific. Yeah, Scott, Sam, you qualify for the bonuses. Jason came in through Google Plus. Excellent.
Cool.
Scott is actually in the Orlando area, Sheila. I'm in Florida right now as well. So it's 10:22 p.m. at the moment. Jocelyn, you're in. Fantastic. So you're in Australia right now, Jocelyn. Cool. Then good afternoon to you. And let me know if you're coming to Bangkok again. Jocelyn and I had a great meal at the Marriott in Bangkok a few months ago. So this is cool. Jason says, totally amazing presentation. You guys, if you want to pop in some takeaways, what you learned from today, now's a good time to do that as well.
Please do. I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, I enjoy what I do. I think you have to do that. You have to really like it. And this is it's a new place for me to be. This is kind of fun, and I really enjoy doing it. I just hope I didn't go too fast for everybody. So let me know any comments.
Yeah, just pop that in. And actually, Sheila, I'm giving you my cell number just in case at that time I'm not on Skype. Okay, so Dawson, it'll be spring for Bangkok, but let's get you in this program now so you can start working it. This will be super. I did an email the other day, and so you guys just put your takeaways in the chat, and we'll address those to Scott. But I don't know if you saw the email, Scott, that I sent out. So I think it was the second email in the sequence for this week, but it talked about the call to action piece, and that so many people don't do, even in emails, there's no call to action. If someone wants to send content to their people, they send like a little thing of content and there's nothing else at all. It's just like, here's your content, good luck, God bless. And nowhere is the audience trained to actually take action and do something. And very clearly in the model that Scott's got on the iTunes podcast, you'll hear when you get onto that, you'll exactly hear the structure of what he does, and it's a different podcast than what you subscribe to. So those that are paying the $19.97 a month, as I was doing for a long time, until I bought the last of the annual subscriptions, which was like the best deal ever. And by the way, I am a paying customer. I mean, I am not like, I am a paying customer. And you know something, you want to work with paying customers. You don't want to work with just people that want the free stuff because they don't pay your mortgage. So it's absolutely true. Anyway, bottom line is it really works. So when you're a paying customer, Scott doesn't need to do a call to action because he's already got you. He already knows where you are. He already has your credit card information in Infusionsoft, which he can't touch, by the way. Can't touch it. But the bottom line is we have your name, we have your address, we can email you, we can contact you, we communicate with you regularly. That's super, and now it's done. Now there's a relationship that's already been built. Until that time, every single free podcast has to have that call to action, every single one. And he does that like a pro, and he makes it so easy for the audience. And when he asks that question, did you do your homework every Monday morning? And usually I'm listening to that as I'm walking around the corner to get my breakfast in Bangkok. It's like, oh, there he goes again. And I'm like, did I? And I'm serious. There's a relationship that Scott has with his audience that is second to none. And it's a giant lesson for all of you because it's not about Scott. It's about that relationship that he has. And he talks to his audience like he's talking to you. And just as he was direct with you today, he's with the audience. He's more, I think, laid back and folksy in that because, again, it's a different presentation. But he's as real with them as he is with you right now. TJ says, too fast, Scott? Nope, very exciting, well paced. Sheila says,
Thank you.
Scott, you were awesome, lots of learning, and you were so gracious with your stories and your program. Easy for me to say. Specifically, I love the 3-part play idea.
Yeah.
As Jason says, serialization is the way to go. Scott's process of sharing his life in a very strategic and monetization way is phenomenal, says Jason. Sam says the program is huge value. Get a load of this. Program has huge value compared to Podcasters Paradise. John Lee Dumas. Thanks, Ken and Scott. If you,
he shoots, he scores.
I know, right? Well, here's the thing, you guys. And by the way, Scott, you and I have not talked about this, but I've got a masterclass coming up at the end of the month, and I want you to teach a segment on that. In fact, just what we did today, because what you've got, and we'll talk about it privately. But I'm just warning you. I want you more. I want more of you. Nigel says, my takeaway: how to keep your audience wanting more. Very good. What is the name of Christine? What's the name of Scott's podcast? The one on iTunes, Christine. I will answer for Scott because I am a subscriber. Motivationtomove.com.
The Daily Boost.
I'm sorry, right. Listen to me, telling you the wrong information. Shame on me. Arg is the Daily Boost. That's right.
The thing, Ken, I want to make a comment here, and because it came up to me, and that is that, when we talk about call to action, I just want to be very clear about something, that, we're doing what's called a covert call to action. Now, when I ask you, have you done your homework, in a very odd way, because I've told you before that there are all these cool homework places inside my website. I have programs you can buy called Face Your Passion. So covertly, when I ask you, have you done your homework, I'm connecting the dots together. So you go, maybe I should get in there and, I've heard about this for a year. I should go get that program. So I'm doing a covert call to action. Overt, when I'm just saying, hey, go do this, is really not the way to do it. So you'll find the best marketers and best, frankly, pitchers on the planet are not the ones, particularly in this day and age right now. You notice how I took a very different approach to tonight. This is me. And Ken, you know me now. I don't do it any other way. This is me. And I call this, in fact, can I give some really ninja level stuff for people? Is that okay?
Well, okay.
What you heard me do tonight, see, if you're going to do a podcast, if you're going to be in the internet marketing world, you're going to have to learn to sell. And when I hear people say, call to action, the thing I don't want you to do is say, oh, go buy my stuff. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to think of yourself, and I want you to think of your audience, your listener, as a human. I want you to think of you talking heart to heart, because the center of what you're saying, when you put an iBud in your ear or it goes in your ears, it is going to go to your heart first, and then your ears will interpret it. You feel it in your being when it happens. So think of them as a people and as a human. So therefore we have what's called the human close. So as we begin to close down, and I can talk about it now because we're actually in the process of trying to get people to come into the program, notice how you give, and I really do. I would give more. I'd stay here all night if Ken will let me. And he may, because it's 8 o'clock in the morning where he feels right now.
Yeah.
And so the trick is you do that, but notice how as I went into it, I'm still kind of in the same place because I really, truly do mean it. I want to just kind of move you in the direction that feels right and assure you I'll take care of you, and I promise I will. This is what you have to do in your podcast. And you have to think of it from that first email that goes out, through the podcast, through your money magnet, as you're crossing that social funnel. And then, by the way, when you drop them into doing your program, as you guys will see when you get in the program, I don't drop you there. It gets busy. Sometimes you got to rattle my cage a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you. I get busy. But I don't drop you there. And I care about you, and I really do care about you. And usually I'm really disappointed and hurt if you don't succeed. I carry that with me, not in a heavy way because that'll wear you out as well, but I do care. And I think in the podcast environment, the reason I'm taking time to say this and the reason I shared my stories with you is because there is no more intimate and true medium than audio. None. People feel it in their bones. It's not TV. It's not a theater. It hasn't been produced. It is literally, your voice is vibrating. Vibrational strength. I mean, this is universal, man. When the vibration hits, it goes down inside their bones. So you better believe when you're down inside their bones that you better be legit. And so if you are that way, and then you do what I said, the emotion, the logic, and the results, lay in the ADA formula, and as one of your viewers mentioned tonight, the overlay of the hero's journey and the three-part play. When you get inside the program, I actually have an infographic that I created one day. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I said, I got to figure out a way to overlay this so everybody can see it visually how I do it. And it took me a day, 8 hours for me to figure out how to overlay it. And when you see it pop up, you're going to say, holy moly, this is a whole new game. And it's blowing people away. So just just be real and be yourself, be who you are, and understand that everything has to move to an ROI. Otherwise, eventually you'll burn out. You'll stop doing this fun stuff. You will. You'll go away. You'll pod fade, as they say.
I hadn't heard of that term. That's and the thing.
That's 2005, I think.
Okay. Well, here's the thing that I find kind of interesting too, is that when you're part of a group that's involved like this, you're gonna go ahead and you're going to inspire each other, and that's really important. That's one reason why I put together Pathfinders and Trailblazers, and it's that important. So you're gonna be part of a community of super cool people, which, by the way, and I'm not telling you that I'm super cool, but I'm part of it because it's the way of life. It's really true. And we're I'm going to web TV now as well. But with that, the repurposing of that even into podcasting is gigantic. So it's really, really super.
One of the take. I'm sorry. You have questions there, right?
No, yeah. Let me make sure I get a couple more of these things answered here. There's a lot of love coming through this chat. Julianne saying, awesome. I love Scott's attitude. How you can love your audience and care for them and have fun and be selling on your high end. It's a revolution for me. Kisses, hugs, and live in wonder, Scott and Ken.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, I know. Julianne's fabulous. Julianne is totally. She's an amazing, amazing woman. We need to help Jocelyn with getting into the program. I'll pass that on to you later. Great question from Sean. Sean says, what would be the tasks to do before the program? Like go to Facebook, read the blog, what to do to get the starting line. Well, I guess you're starting tomorrow, Sean, so you're going to get access to the first module.
Yeah, listen, I wish I had a blog. I wish I had a place to go. I mean, it came up that fast. I've done 4 events in 4 weeks, and been from the East Coast to the West Coast, and it's been a heck of a grind. But what's really cool about it is about 2 weeks on and off there, or 2 weeks straight before I started traveling, I was able to produce these really high-end programs. And I have to tell you, to be really honest with you, there are certain things that we do that are really difficult for us to do. You sit down, it's like, man, this is so hard. What do I say? And I know because I coach people all the time, and they're trying to come up with a product and try to build a website. And to me, it's really easy. And why is it easy for me versus them? Well, it's like this program. Why is it easy for me to do this? I sat down to do this thing, and all I had to do was tie myself in the chair. I know it so well, I had to tie myself in the chair. And I had to figure out the marketing twist and the curriculum to make it work, and the layout of the curriculum so you could learn from it. That was a little bit difficult, but I had to sit down and do it. So I've been so busy doing that and making it so it worked so well for you. Heck, there's not a blog yet. But here's what's going to happen to you. When tomorrow, and I would guess my daughter will get on this in the morning, you'll get in, and you're going to find a whole bunch of very cool stuff laid out there for you. In fact, I can tell you there's about 4 hours of produced video for you there right now. Now, the group has been very cool. They've given me a little bit of time to get my act together. These are high-end internet marketers. I should tell this to you, by the way. When you join this group, you're going to be blown away by who's in this group. The best of the best are in this group. I am humbled by it. So we have set up the Facebook group, and we're going to start the coaching and live coaching. So you're going to come in, you're going to get on board with the program, start to learn right away, which they have done. And then about the same time with them, you're going to come on board with the live coaching calls. They haven't done that yet. I mean, that's where you're coming in right now. So really, you're kind of in the catbird seat. You're coming into a good place. So when you get access tomorrow, jump in there. Jump into Module 1 if you want. You can use the pre-modules if you'd like to. They're a little simpler. Within days, you're going to be on the phone with me, and we're going to rock. We're going to go.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. This is I've wanted Scott to create a course like this for the longest time. So when and I knew you weren't doing it, that you weren't going down that road. And so when Mitch said to me, oh yeah, I mean Scott's got this great new course, I'm like, excuse me, he didn't tell me that. What is wrong? What's going on here? I was like, we got to get him on. So this is actually the first webinar you've done on this because you did it on stage.
Yeah, I did it on stage, and it was such a hit. And this is the first webinar. And what's going to happen now is, it's this is needed. This is really needed.
Yeah.
And I look out there and I look what other people are doing. Somebody mentioned John Lee Dumas, Podcast Paradise. That's fine. It is good what it is. But here's the problem with that. Nobody's making any money.
Exactly.
Except John.
Exactly.
And he's selling podcast stuff to podcasters.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I'm selling a medium and a style and a format and a strategy to people that want to make money because they're business people. And so I looked at it and I said, listen, I'm not going to go. The reason, by the way, it took me so long to do this is because I didn't want to be a podcaster and I didn't want to teach podcasters. I wanted to say, no, wait a second. I have a strategy that an average person can use, an average business person can use to build a real sustainable business if they'll master this medium. And so when I came up with it, and like a lot of things, until I came up with the name, I didn't have the product. And as soon as I came up with the name, I realized, like you said, Ken, that's what I do anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did it. But just to kind of, to be real with you guys, one of the reasons I haven't done this is because I have a big consumer audience. A lot of the things that are in the internet marketing world don't work in the motivation to move world. These are consumers. These are real people who get out of bed every single day to go to work and to try to somehow get through the day, and they're maybe a little bit overweight, or they need a little bit more money, or they're not happy, and we support them, and they are the driving force of what I do. And they're I call them affectionately my 1995ers. They're my consumers, and trust me, a lot of them for 1995, that's a big deal for them. It's huge. And so I don't tend to bring stuff like this to them, and I focus on them and their focus. So it was a huge deal for me to one day wake up and go, okay, I guess I know how to do something in this world, and here's what I got to do. This is a personal development tip for you. We all categorize and label ourselves. And so I was labeling myself as a guy who trained basically consumers. And one day I realized people wanted to know what I knew, and I had to label it. I said, okay, this is my industry product. This is what I sell to the internet industry, the podcast industry. And once I did that, I was okay, cool, let's go make it. And literally, it was overnight. It was done. It was done. And people now are saying, well, what took you so long, Scott? And I said, I don't know. I was busy taking care of a few 100,000 people. Okay.
That's right. That's right. Well, we had that conversation just the other day. It's the gigantic change in what you've done. And for you guys, here's the thing: you don't need to replace your business with a podcast. And what we're talking about is really adding this as a gigantic part of engagement with your audience and huge lead generation. When you look at the numbers that Scott's doing, I didn't start my podcast, the Boost Your Practice Show, to be a podcaster. I started it as a gigantic lead generator, bring people into my business. And for those of you that know what we do here at the Institute, the first element of what we do is a combination of, before I refined it, it was find the ideal client, which certainly this model will help you do. But now it's really take a look at your business and create intellectual property that brings in those clients. And we're going to teach you how to do it with courses. Scott's going to teach you how to do it with podcasts, which are a perfect adjunct of your course. In fact, what I want Scott to teach in the course and content creation workshop is how to use a podcast to supplement and leverage your courses, because it's gigantic what a podcast can do for you. It's massive. It really is. So I want everybody to be a part of that for that very reason. It's just like gigantic. Lynn,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Lynn, I'm just going through a couple of questions here. Lynn says, thanks, Scott and Ken. Loads of great info. You guys are a great pair to deliver content that makes me want more. Much appreciated. I'm going to do my homework. Not sure what that homework is, Lynn, but make sure you do it. Make sure you have it in tomorrow, and don't be late.
She has to find her credit card. That's
there you go. There you go. Let's get that done.
Hey, listen, I market on the internet. I'm not afraid to ask for a credit card, kids. Go get it, Linda.
Yeah, that's it. There's your homework. Get your credit card. Get it in there. Okay, Jason, you'll Skype me after this call is over. Christine says, good question. Would you recommend an audio podcast over a video podcast?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Why would I? Now, here's the thing. It depends on what you want to do. I mean, podcasts are great for repurposing. A lot of people do a video, then they repurpose it to it. Video is very hard to make look good. It's very hard. I have a better way to explain this. Alex Mandossian is the Google Hangout king right now, right? He hangs out. That's his whole thing. He's working real hard to do it. Does them every single week. Does all kinds of cool stuff. And Alex sitting there, and he stood up to me and he said, "Scott, I got something." I said, "What was that?" He said, "I got it that I need to produce my video as an audio program because I have to make it." And I was like dumbfounded by it, because every video I do, I produce as an audio program and I lay the video on top of it. That's how we do things. In fact, by the way, the program you're about ready to get it is incredibly powerful. And the reason it's powerful is because I laid everything out. I literally recorded the audio first with music and everything. I take you on a journey. I got it perfect, and then I laid the video on top of it. So it is more listenable in your car and on your iPod or your iPhone than it is watching on the computer screen, marginally, because it's that way. So the reason you want to do it, in my view, and you can do what you want to do, I think audio is transportable. It's easy for people to consume when they're on the go. It's something that is very intimate. It's easy for you to do. For all those reasons, I go audio, and as soon as you go video, you open a whole new can of worms. Ken's going to web TV. He knows all about how hard TV is.
Yep, I do.
So,
I will tell you, I will reiterate that. When I did the podcast, I wanted to go video too with an audio track. And we talked about it, and I absolutely chose not to do that, even though I love video, primarily because it's going to be so damn hard. The web TV thing we're doing for a specific purpose. But I got to tell you, to run audio is, oh my God, so much easier. So much easier.
One of the things you have to do with anything, whether it be a blog or a podcast or video, whatever, is you have to be prolific. You've got to be able to produce content, and either you produce it yourself or you've got to bring it in somehow. And it's hard to be prolific on video because very quickly it gets kind of boring. It's you and a talking head camera. That's boring. That's old time. People don't like that anymore. So at least with an audio, like I said on the program, that Steven Spielberg needs $200 million to make a movie. Well, you're going to see that after about 4 or 5 videos. You're going to like, uh-oh, now what do I do? But yet you could sit down. You could take your microphone and go sit in a shopping mall, and all you have to do is tell people, I'm sitting in a shopping mall today, and they hear the sound effects, which is like old radio theater.
Yep.
And you start to do your podcast, and they immediately get embraced in it, and now you just eliminated $200 million. You can put that in the bank instead.
Yeah, and it's the imagination. The power of that imagination is so huge.
You can't beat it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you guys, you look at my pool videos, and Scott, I think you've seen a couple of the pool videos that I've shot from my pool in Bangkok. You know why I do the videos? You know why I do the videos in the pool?
Why is that?
It's so damn easy. I mean, it's just I just jump in the pool. I don't have to worry about getting clean clothes, fixing my hair, a backdrop. It's just like I'm in the pool. I turn the camera on. I'm done. People are like, oh, it's so great and so engaging. How smart you are. No, I'm lazy because it's hard.
I directed video for years and TV, made a couple films, and that's kind of how I have the hero's journey, the 3-act play, because I've done all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the reality is that if you don't have all the money and the fancy cameras, then find a really good background. We call it a motivated background.
Yeah.
And so, hey, look, I'm in the pool, my hair is messy, and I got suntan lotion on. Everybody gets it right away. They immediately say, it's okay. You don't have to be fancy.
Yeah. And people identify with that.
Video. Yeah, if you're going to do video, do it like that.
Yeah, people identify with it, which is so cool. I mean, it's that slice of life stuff. So, okay, so we answered that one. Sheila says the beauty of the hero's journey is that everyone identifies with it. Yes. Christine says, thanks, Scott. Amazing content. Looking at mixing podcasting with my teaching of the video content, Jen, and magazine publishing through Newsstand. Cool. Excellent. Yep. I'm also a student of Alex. Yep. And you know what? I did. I am too. I bought Alex's way back decades ago. His Teleseminar Secrets, which was a great program.
You know what? I had a great moment, man. You're going to appreciate this because Alex is a guy that always talks about not stealing but researching. Right?
Yeah.
And in front of Alex Mendozian, while I was presenting this last course, I told them when I launched my business, I didn't get to that story tonight, but I said I launched my business with a teleseminar of which I stole the first chapter from Alex Mendozian and figured the rest out myself. And I don't think he knew what to say. I really don't.
No flattery there, but truth.
Yeah, truth. I didn't need you beyond the first chapter, my friend. Which is why he's hiring me now. Yeah,
exactly. Right. Turnabout is fair play. Say good stuff. Awesome. When it goes live, we'll be able to sell his training to our client base as an affiliate. Well, Jason, let me see if I can convince Scott to let me be second tier, and I'll go to bat for you.
Okay. All right. We're gonna when we go live, we are gonna we have some major people right now that are banging at my door. They've heard the rumors and they're asking for review copies. And I've held that. I said I can't give you one yet. It's not done yet. But it is top notch so far.
Cool. Great. Excellent. Yeah. I mean, exactly. So the answer is more than likely yes, Jason. But Scott and I need to talk about how that's going to go together. Alexandrina says, I feel that an essential difference between the purpose of a podcast and a webinar. Can you talk briefly about that? Yes. That's really good to talk about the difference between a podcast and a webinar.
Okay.
You want to jump in on that, or do you want me to do it with you?
Well, you go first, then I'll go.
Okay, fine. Okay,
Or
so
we'll talk. I don't care. We'll figure it out.
we can figure it out. Okay, here's the scoop. We're on a webinar right now. The webinar has video attached to it. By the very nature of a webinar, it is a web-based presentation that has video. Okay, I've never seen an audio webinar per se. So a podcast, again, you can go audio or video, but for the sake of this discussion, we're talking audio podcast. It's the idea of that is to stick it in your iPhone, or God, what happened to iPods anymore?
Yeah, really.
Stick it into your iPod or in some kind of portable device, and be able to take it with you anywhere you want in the world, not be having to be wired in or whatever. Now, of course, GoToWebinar could go on an iPhone or iPad now, but the idea is that the podcast is a serialized experience, like a TV show, if you will, or like like Scott mentioned earlier. A webinar is usually a one-off. It's just a one-off presentation. Like, this is a one-shot thing. Now, it could be part of a series, but a webinar generally isn't done that way.
Well, let me, and I agree with you. Actually, it's not usually done that way. I have. Here's my thought on it. People ask me all the time, why do I not do interview-style podcast? Why do I not do that? Now, I understand why everybody does them. I find it really incestuous, and I find it kind of the ROI is really kind of low on it now for a lot of reasons. And I actually explained that inside the program. I spent about 10 minutes telling you why not to do a interview-style podcast. But I do interviews, Ken. So where do you suppose I do my interviews? Take a wild guess. It's really easy answer.
I'm so confused. I don't know. Let's see.
I take them to teleseminars and webinars.
Yeah.
Because I said in the program, a podcast by default is not a buying environment. So we move them using the funnel and the money magnets into our website or whatever we're going to be doing. But we could very easily use the same process to move them into a teleseminar or a webinar like this. Now, when I came into this webinar, this could be something that is educational, and it was the way we did it. But ultimately, the reason we do these webinars is to set up a presentation to teach you and hopefully bring some people into our group. So if you guys are all online and you're all marketers, I assume most people are like that on this call. A podcast is not the place to sell. It is the place to build relationship and to nurture people, cross them through the funnel, and then move them to your webinar where you can expand the relationship, close the gap, and then offer the human close at the end, and then you start making some money out of it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense at all, Ken?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a really good way to distinguish it too. Because in most cases, a webinar is economic based, and a podcast is more service based. So
pretty much how it is these days. Yeah, kind of how it is now.
Yeah, I mean, and most podcasters are really they're not monetizing. They don't know how to monetize. And if when this goes out and goes big, that whole game's going to change. I totally predict that. So I totally predict it's all over. So get in now, boys and girls, while the getting's good, because there is a sea change coming. I can tell you that. Okay, so Jocelyn, just tell me what's going on with your access, and I'll get that to Scott so he can get that sorted out for you. Jane says, great content, Ken and Scott. Look forward to hearing them on the masterclass. Takeaway, love the idea of the hero's journey overlay in the story of the podcast. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so any other questions, you guys? It is now a little late on the East Coast here. And, I've worked Scott hard today, so I want to give him the ability to get rested up, at his advanced age. That under be
Hey, wait a second. You told me how old you were the other day.
I know I did, right? I will always be older than you, my friend. Always older.
Dude, I had no idea you were that old. You look good.
Thank you. It truly is clean living. It truly is. Honestly, it is. It's because and good habits. I could get on the soapbox about eating right and taking care of yourself. And guys, Scott's got a great podcast on that. Absolutely. The Fitness Boost is super for that. But you know what? It all fits together, because unless you are fit and take care of yourself, you can't build a solid business, because you're feeling like crap. It's kind of hard to be productive and be creative, which is what you need to be. And by the way, adaptive in your business. So all the things that Scott does in terms of his podcast, actually, at the end of the day, Scott, what you do is you teach the curriculum that we teach at the Institute at the end of the day.
I do.
You really do.
Yeah, I'm a little more lifestyle based. Well, you're balance based. That's what you do as well.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Ken and I meet on the Marketer's Cruise. We meet having fun.
Yes, we do.
I've never met him working. Really, and we now don't get me wrong, we work really hard, and yet when it's time to pull the plug, we pull the plug. We're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So it really is that. Yeah, I teach the same thing. We started as a fitness entity. We became a personal development, and then moved into business. And the people who know us and love us love the way we combine them all. But the reality is about 80% of what we do is going to be personal development, which is life. And then we filter in the fitness and the business on top of that, and people it just works for people. It's our thing.
It works, and the thing about it is, you can't do what Scott does because Scott does what Scott does. You can do what you do, and you'll learn how to do it that will serve you and celebrate you. That's the cool thing, you guys. I mean, I couldn't be any more enthusiastic about it than that. So that's totally cool. And Sheila says, can't wait. So not a problem. I will probably be reachable either or Skype or cell. So either way, just give me a shout and we'll hook up tomorrow morning at 9. So we'll get that sorted out for you, Sheila. And I will talk to you, Jason, when this is over, right? You're going to Skype me. I think that was what we decided to do. So is there anybody else that needs anything? Anybody else that is not yet signed up that is about to, so I can just be looking for your orders so I can make sure that I get them to Scott for the morning. And I can see your screen, Scott.
Well, I'm just it's funny. Yeah, my wife handed me something. She said,
"Is Joy there? Is Joy there? Is she there right now?"
She just walked out. Hang on, let me get her.
Bring her.
She came in and said, "How much do I have to pay your daughter tomorrow?" I'm like, "Thank you for reminding me." So here's how much I'm paying to my daughter tomorrow. Everything
there you go.
Times that much, and that's what my daughter gets paid tomorrow.
Well, given what she did to help you today, because I know you leveraged her to help you out today. She's definitely deserves it.
Hey, by the way, guys, just so you know, my daughter's worked for me since I told you the story about my wife. My daughter has worked for me since about 3 weeks before then, and she just recently told me she wanted to retire and be a mommy, and they're buying their first house, and
wow.
So we're so proud. So we're in a little transition right now for the next couple months, as she literally is going to step out of the business and just retire.
Wow.
And because of what we built, and because Dad made her an owner of the company, she's retiring and getting paid before I do.
Wow. Wow.
But that's the power of a podcast.
Well, you know what else the power of the podcast, because you're reminding me about this. And by the Christina's on the way in. TJ says, geez, I'm close. But I want you guys, I know they're probably archived somewhere, but when I will not forget the story. This is so funny. When I was a kid, I used to listen to Gene Shepard on the radio before I would go to bed at night. So Scott is sort of similar to that in terms of his ability to tell great and engaging stories. So there was one show, one podcast, and it was a show because Scott really has it set as a show. And when I won't steal his thunder, he will tell you why in the course, why it's set for 9 minutes. It's strategic and very, very important, and he will tell you why that is. Won't you? You will, won't you?
Oh yeah, okay. It's in there. I think. I haven't transcribed it yet, so I think it's in there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if not, you just ask me and I'll tell you because he may not remember, but I remember very clearly. Anyway, here's the deal. Scott talked about the birth of his grandchild.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, did you hear his voice just now? Did you just hear his voice just now? Oh my gosh! So he tells the story about the birth of his grandchild and how he was there for the birth, right, Scott?
Yep. I told it.
He sure did. And I remember that. I mean, and the thing is, it wasn't about Scott. It was about the experience. And he brought I can only speak from my own experience, but he brought me in, he reeled me in. And I was listening to every single word. And I'm walking down the street and people looking at me because I'm chuckling and I'm laughing and I'm like responding to you, talking back to you. And people looking at me like, okay, what is he doing? So it's really kind of cool.
I love that. One of the things that I do, and you guys can think this way as well. I made a goal a long time ago to be a master storyteller, and I don't think I'm there yet. I think I'm really good at it, but I see master storytellers as being like 10 years older than I am, or maybe 20. And so everything I do, I tell a story, and it's always metaphor, and yet I always take it back to. I have this amazing ability. My daughter says, "Dad, you start off, and then I get totally lost, and you bring it back around, and it makes complete sense." And how do you do that? I said, I don't know. We do a Saturday show now, and it's called the MTM Insider, and It's really kind of just a storytelling show. And sometimes it's a rant, sometimes it's a waste of time. To be honest with you, we don't prep it, but more often than not, I set off on a story of something that happened to me in the past week, and I'll take 30 minutes to tell the story. I'll interrupt it 25 different times, and yet I'll tie all the pieces together. When you get to the end, it's one big learning experience. I have no idea how I do it, although actually I do, and I could probably teach it, and I do. This is kind of high-level stuff, and what ends up happening is we have to lay a foundation first, and then once you understand the foundation and how it all comes together, and then a little conversation with me, and say it this way, say it that way, we get you to storytelling. So I'm a creative guy. I've made films, I've made TV. I'm also a sales and marketing guy. I've done lots of infomercials and videos. Everything I've done in my life has kind of put me here to where I know how to sell and to make you cry and to make you laugh all at one shot. And to me, that's just fun, and I think it's more enjoyable for the audience, and it's obviously paid off for me. So it's fun to teach it to. It's neat. Ken, I got to tell you, when we take somebody, and typically it's a real creative person, to be honest with you, who has been creative and they haven't quite known how to tell a story, and we're able to lay in the sales ability to it, where they can now really do what they absolutely love to do, and then they suddenly find out they can convert a customer and actually make money. That's the biggest day for me.
Yeah.
The business guy, to allow him to tell a story and make money is like, whatever, he's going to do that. But the creative person, they're vulnerable people who just kind of wear their heart on their sleeve. Well, we can teach them how to sell covertly and to sell with integrity and to sell as part of a story and to add value, and they just feel comfortable in their skin with it, and then suddenly the phone rings. It's a really cool thing, and I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not easy to do. You're gonna have to spend a lot of hours practicing to get this right. But we lay out the foundation, and I'm here to help you do it. And my hope is I've been doing this long enough now. I like when people exceed me. I challenge you. Throw me off the top of iTunes. Please beat me. Do it. It's fine. Then I can get to brag about you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's exactly right.
Yeah, do it.
So cool. I love it. So Nigel says, that's cool.
You guys are amazing, but I'm watching the numbers here, and everybody's hanging on tonight. This is amazing.
They really are. It's really true. People are usually long gone on the traditional webinar, but this is not the traditional webinar. This is about serving, and we're having fun. We're engaging.
Yeah.
And the other thing, you and I have talked about this before. What we do on a webinar, what I like to use as a trademark for the webinar is really make it an experience. And so this chat. With our coaching calls, we open the mics so that we're able to actually converse back and forth. On a webinar like this, we don't, because we actually have a very significant agenda. But on the coaching calls, we open up on mine. We open up the mics, and that's really super engagement. Here, it's the chat that we work with, and what my fundamentals are in terms of what we stand for at the Institute is customer experience, is the learning experience. And, obviously I think you can tell that's super important for Scott as well. And it's that experience that keeps people engaged, people listening to the entire program, and keeps people continuing to subscribe, renew, engage, and make Scott a very wealthy man, which gave him the motorhome. Scott did not tell you about what he did with that motorhome in Atlanta. But
what did I do?
You were competing with the Marriott, is what you were doing.
Well, yeah. Well, here's what I did. I had this thing. I stay in a lot of nice hotels. It's kind of the thing that we do when you start speaking and keynoting and things like that. But I don't really like hotels very much. It's not my thing. That's why I bought the motorhome. And so I got it, and I called my friend David Perdue up in NAMS in Atlanta, and I said, David, do you mind if I bring my motorhome up there? And he said, no worries. I'll clear it with the Marriott for you. So I'm on my way up, and he says via text, he said, Marriott says, with our blessings. And so I pull this 40-foot motorhome behind the Marriott, and here's the cool part, and I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to. I was the biggest motorhome back there. There were four of us. There were three small ones, but what was cool, I called it the Lifestyle Design Campground.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and so we camped out there, and we all had this great experience. And we were like 50 feet from the stage, and all of us were speaking. And it was really cool. And so we'd go out, and I got to tell you, Ken, it was one of the best experiences of my life because I didn't have to deal. I had my own food. I ate some inside. I had my own clothes. I had everything I wanted. And I just would go out there and just break away. Because remember, my motorhome is like, it's my beach home. It's my mountain home. It doesn't matter. And so when I was in it, I was home. And I think that's why I did so well up there, because I really was grounded. And David produces laughing at me, and it's very cool. I'm doing some business with David right now, and I have a project I'm working on with him. And he stopped me and said, Scott, the minute I heard that project we're working on allowed you to buy a motorhome, and it was podcast related. He said, I'm in 100%. I said, okay. So yeah, I'm having a good time with it. It's been a lifelong dream. And I, one of the things that I being and I can't help myself on this. I remember the 80s and the 90s when all the gurus would be on TV and they would have their airplanes and their yachts and all that stuff. Those were all leased, by the way,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
borrowed,
It was all fake. It was all
all
fake.
fake, and that's why they're all in jail right now.
Remember Tom
Uh,
Vu?
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I have a really nice motorcycle. I have a really tricked out Jeep. I have a really tricked out motorhome. I fly airplanes. I'm instrument rated. I do not own an airplane, and I'm proud to tell you I don't. I'm not that stupid. They're
Hmm.
expensive. And so whatever I do, whatever I've earned, whatever I've done, and this has been, and by the way, all of these things as a personal development guy allow me to write off with the IRS because I actually do them, and guess where I talk about them? I talk about them on my podcast, and guess what I do? I bring people in and teach people how to create that lifestyle, and just like Ken does. But I walk it and I talk it, and my wife hates it because my credit card is on fire 7 days a week. But that's life, right? One day we won't be one day we won't be here to swipe our credit card, will we?
No,
So
and we may as well take it on the way out because it's all about us.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. My mother's doing that. My mother just came back from 4 months traveling this summer. She came back last week, and she's like, I'm not planning on leaving anything for you. She's like,
Yeah,
enjoy it right now. Enjoy the free lodging while you're staying at my house. Because when I'm gone, I'm using it before I go. And she
yeah.
is.
There's nothing.
Yeah, she's having the most amazing lifestyle. She really, really is,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's super cool. I mean, that's really super cool. I see Christine just said is in. So yeah, a lot of you guys are coming on. This you're gonna love these people. My people are so cool. They really
Are they
are.
cool?
Yeah, they are. They're cool. They're absolutely cool.
Awesome. I'm
Christine
looking forward
says,
to that.
"Oh, Scott, love it. Talking about your motorhome and the IRS. I'm going to be talking about holidays in Bali and other places for sure." Yeah, well, Christine, if you're going to go as far as Bali, you damn well better come to Bangkok and visit me, or I'm going to be really upset.
Yeah, I am getting a sizable number of friends in Bangkok, Chiang
Yep.
Mai, and Bali.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm
Well,
thinking I got.
that's just because Mitch keeps going from one place to the other.
Well, yeah, and Mitch was with me for 4 days,
I know. I know.
yeah, but I also have some other things that I do that I've brought in from some other business interests, and it's amazing how people are, and it's all internet related, by the way, and everybody is all over the world, and I keep telling my wife, I said we got to go over to Thailand, and and she's like, we just got back from here, we just got back from there. I mean, I keep this girl on her toes, I really
Yeah.
do, and we have a relationship where I'm the guy that just basically gets up in the morning and goes and I create my world. I create my world. And I don't know if you're that kind of person. Ken, you're that kind of
Yeah.
guy. I create my world. I decide what I want and I create it. I don't let anybody else do it for me, nor do I count on anybody else to do it for me. My wife, on the other hand, doesn't create her world, but she masters the one she lives in.
That's brilliant.
And so
That's brilliant.
we are the perfect team because I expand her world, expand her worldview. I drag her in places she would never go herself, and she makes it happen because she's kind of a logistics person. She keeps all the pieces together while I do that. So yeah, it's really worked out well for us. So we have a good time with it. I have taken her more places in the 7 years I've known her, and I can't even count anywhere where I've taken her. This little pod, by the way, we are going to Virginia in the motorhome in a couple of weeks, and we are stopping to do what we call meet and greets. And we don't charge people, and we stop and we say, come meet us. We'll be in Savannah or someplace, and a couple of dozen people show up. In Orlando, you guys on the phone right now, if you ever come to Orlando, and a lot of you all do, if you send me an email and give me a little bit of notice, usually at least 2 weeks, it's very likely that on your request we will make the time to meet you for dinner or lunch someplace. We do it all the time, and I do it because I meet a lot of people who we affect around the world, and I meet a lot of people who really need some help, and I just want I can't do it always, but I do it about 98% of the time. I really do. So I might regret saying that.
You know what? It's cool because what I was thinking about doing on this trip as well was doing a couple of things while I was here because I was going to I thought I'd be in Atlanta, didn't make it, but I was thinking about something in Orlando and something in LA, and it just what it because of the time zone difference and all that I didn't do it, but I tell you what, it would be super fun to do. And
Yeah.
and coming to Orlando and even doing a hangout I mean, like alive, let's just do some kind of evening together with Scott and Ken or whatever would be super fun. It's just
Yeah.
because you guys can tell we love what we're doing. I mean, this is, it's late for Scott and I. Scott, Joy is waiting to talk to Scott. My mom just walked in the door and she's like, "I want to talk to you," and I'm like, "No, I'm busy. I'm busy." Um, but this is really fun for me, and
Yeah.
knowing
Yeah.
and somebody said, and I lost where it was. Oh, Sean says I didn't want to miss a nugget. That's why they're still here.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I don't like to prolong a webinar just for the sake of prolonging a webinar and bullshitting
Well,
for that. But we're covering good stuff and we're having a great time together, and that's important.
here's the thing that people that they don't get. And if you're, I don't know where you are in where your audience is, and you would know more than I in terms of making money online and doing this thing for real and the whole deal. But what I can say is this: I started this morning. I think I walked to my office at 7 a.m. I blew off my workout today because I had a lot to do, and I stayed at it. I'm still here right now. It's 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Now that doesn't sound like a lifestyle design guy, does it?
Nope.
But you know what? I have not regretted one second of it today. I'm still going full out with all the energy I have. I will fall over here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And tomorrow morning I'll be in here at 7 a.m. recording podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you this: what this does for me is tomorrow at about 1:30 or 2 o'clock. I actually go work out at noon. I work out every day at noon, except today. And I'll work out at noon, and that'll be it for the weekend. Done. Done. And I will shut everything down for the weekend. It'll go on automation. We will just shoot through the weekend, and we'll be fine. I get up Monday morning, I'm going to kick it. About 2 weeks from now, I'm taking the motorhome out. That's a working week for me. And I'm going to a class reunion. I've done about 9 class reunions. It's crazy, and I'm not that old. We just do a lot of them. And so we're taking the motorhome, taking an East Coast trip. We're going to go up there to the Virginia, come back around to the mountains, and we'll work about half the trip inside the motorhome. So one thing you have to understand about the internet lifestyle is that, first off, it's going to take you 90 hours a week to get there. It'll take you 90 hours a week to get there once you know what you're going to do. You're going to pull your hair out, you're going to work hard at it, you're going to be frustrated, and then you're going to get a hit. The low-hanging fruit's going to come your way, you're going to get a hit, start making some money, and you're going to follow that breadcrumb. And that's going to work for you. And you work really hard, and then you're going to get the easy street. And then periodically throughout your career, you're going to have to amp it up a little more and amp it up. And amp it up. And every now and then you'll have another 90-hour week. But then you'll disappear from the marketer's cruise and you go to events. And we wear ourselves out. But really, let's think about this for just a second. I've been at 4 events in 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What have we really done? We've hung out and talked to our friends.
Yep.
We've had dinner. We've worked out. We've drank a lot. We saw Vanilla Ice last weekend.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't see him. I heard him.
Yeah. I walked in for a little bit. It was crazy. What have we really done? And then we sat there throughout the course of the day, and we watched incredible. We had incredible education coming from the stage. And then because you and I are where we have managed to get ourselves to, we are able to talk with those people on the stage backstage.
Yes.
And understand and help them be better at what they did and learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
What did we really do? We just took time out of our day and wore ourselves out loving our life.
We played. We played. I mean, you left before I did, and I kept saying to you on Saturday night for the Vanilla Ice night, I'm leaving. That's not my kind of music. To me, that's noise. It's just not for me. So I walked into, I shot a little bit of video, and barely saw him on stage because it was just so many people screaming and yelling and having a great time. And I was leaving, and Scott, I didn't finish until 3 o'clock in the morning. You and I haven't talked about this, but honest to God, I'm talking to these other people, and then we start talking about corn pollination, and that became a whole discussion about corn porn.
Hang on, I heard that, and somebody got the domain.
Yes, someone had the domain. That's right. We did talk about it, but we were till 3. We shot video about it, and the person I was with, her name is Mary Todd. I got an email from her just yesterday that said, "Oh my God, we had the best time. Can't wait to work with you." So we took the fun of that, and we're going to create a great relationship doing super cool things. And it all came from just having fun and being silly and cutting up and being real,
It takes you time. Can I share a story about something for everybody? Because we have a few people on the line. We still have a lot, actually. We have over half your audience still here.
I know.
Let me share something with you, and I'll really, really take it. I did these podcasts for a long time, and nobody knew who I was except my audience.
Yeah.
I never got outside. I never did the internet marketing thing. I just didn't do it. I studied it from behind the scenes. I used to go to a lot of events and I would just be in the audience and I would study. I bought everything. I learned. And then I was at an event about 2.5 years ago, and the Marketers Cruise came up, and I said, well, let's go. That sounds like actually, my wife said, it's a good deal. Let's go. And so we went, and that's where it started, that event. We met a few people. Then we saw them again on the cruise. And then we went to a few more events. And I kind of struggled. I didn't really struggle, but I couldn't get I didn't get the inside groove going with the marketers out there for about a year.
Yeah.
And then I came back on my second year on the cruise. And by the way, we're talking January last year, which is why I'm new right now. I've been around for 10 years, and here I am an overnight sensation. So I go back on the cruise, and I meet our friend Mitch Carson. And I decided to help Mitch. And being a former video guy, I heard he was looking to do he had a project he needed to do. And I said, I can help you with that. And I just volunteered to help. I never charged him for it. I said, give me all your stuff. I'll fix it for you. I did it for him. Totally blew it out of the ballpark. He loved it. And he started introducing me to people. I invited him to my home to stay. And he said, you got to go to this event. You got to go to this event. And he told Ken about the product I had. I met Ken on the cruise. And before you know it, I'm just following the breadcrumbs here and being willing to say, yes, I can help. Yes, I can help. And it's not easy because I told Ken 5 times, no, no, no. Yeah, okay, let's do it. I wouldn't do it for anybody but you, right? I wouldn't do it. It's all because of the relationship building that happens along the way. That's what makes this happen. So no matter where you are on your journey, if you're trying to find your way, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're looking at the back of the room, and I just told my wife, Ken, I don't know if you even understand this. I came back because I'm relatively new at being like the in crowd, really like 6 or 8 months into it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at the back of I told my wife today, I said, it's a very, the past couple of events are the first time that all these people are coming to me saying, what'd you think? How was that close? How'd he do? What'd you think? What'd you think? And these guys I've known for 10, 15 years online, and they're asking me now.
Yeah.
So I want to be humbled about that, but I want to share this with you people who are online right now, that it takes a lot of perseverance, and frankly, the word probably is tenacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
And then you have to get out there, and you've got to have some fun. You got to meet all the wrong people so you can find all the right people. And you got to keep adding value. And the reason this course is popular right now, Podcast Persuasion, is because not that it's a good name or anything, it's because it's really filling a very, very big need that people need right now. And because I have the expertise to do it, I can deliver that like nobody else can. So the pieces all come together over time. It's a 10,000-hour rule from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You put the time in, it happens. So I just want to encourage you, no matter where you are, be who you are. I know you've heard that before. It's some modified version of who you are. We all know that. But keep dialing in the skill set you need and keep looking at that ROI. If it's not paying off, you shouldn't be doing it. You got to have to make some changes, and you're not selling out. You just don't have the perspective you need. You just haven't figured out yet. You're a couple of steps away from understanding how you have to see it. And so you might be blocking yourself today, where 3, 4, 5, 6 steps down the road, you'll say, oh, now I get it. So allow yourself a little bit of time to go through the process so you'll learn everything, and then you go, oh, now I get it. And one day you'll see the big picture like a bright blue sky. And then you'll be where I am. And I'm buckling up a seatbelt because I'm getting ready to enjoy my ride, because I can see it coming, Ken. It's pretty fun right now.
You and I are both about to explode. You are, absolutely, you are. There's been a need for what you're doing. The podcast stuff that's been out there has been about the mechanics of doing a podcast, not about the monetization of doing a podcast. And why would you do a podcast in the first place? People are missing that. So you're the only person I know in the ball game that's actually making money in the fashion that you are, running it as a lead gen for other businesses. It's huge. So that makes you the leader. And what's going to happen for you, and you're starting to see it already, is that because you're the real deal, because you're a cool person, and because you're converting really well, everybody wants a piece of it. So you're now going to be the next superstar, and at the price point that you're going to go out with, everybody's going to want that. Everybody's going to want that. You'll be on webinars everywhere, and you guys, it ain't going to be at $597. I can tell you that right now.
Nope.
So and that's not me pitching right now. That's just, and you and I would have this conversation tomorrow or anytime. You're now the next big hit, and that's beautiful. And frankly, I'm there now too with TP courses. Everybody in Orlando was like all over. How do I get onto TP courses? How do I play? And you'll start seeing a lot of that coming up. Mike Bolsain's coming into the program.
Wow.
Yeah, I was, and that was a super short conversation. He got it. And he said to me, he said, we need to find a way to import my courses or export my courses out of my current platform to put them into yours to make it easy, because then I'm all in. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find someone who will be the human that will be the automatic, process for that. Both of us now, Scott, have worked our asses off. We've
Yep.
worked crazy hours. We paid our dues. And I talk about those hours, those 11, 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock hours, as like being on a seesaw, and we want
Yep.
balance. But there are days when there are times I don't get to sleep at night, and being in Bangkok, it makes it difficult to manage East and West, time zones. But and I'm doing a better job of managing it now. But the point of it is that we do it because we love it, and I wouldn't
Yep.
do it if it wasn't that case. And when it's an event like what we're doing right now, where the two of us are having a great time, and we got to call it, because we got to, it's getting late. We got to take care of our bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I did have a doctor warn me, I can't be doing this anymore, just
Yeah.
physically.
You can't do it. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How do you know you love it?
When you don't feel you're working, and time goes by
Ah,
without realizing it, and you don't want, I
yeah.
mean, I may whine and bitch about the hours, because I like to whine and bitch. I was raised to whine and bitch. My mother's looking at me like I didn't teach you that. But
Yeah.
I will, and my little badge of courage is like when I would get up at 4 or teach my 4 o'clock in the morning Trailblazers calls, which is going to be revised time wise. I do it because it's like I care. So no,
Yep.
it's when I traveled all over the U.S. and Canada, Scott, and I was doing the live events for the Russ Whitney folks for years. I never felt I was working. Even
Yeah.
when it was a difficult audience for whatever reason, I might have felt uncomfortable for the day, but
Hmm.
I think about those days that was a blur. The 10 or so years I was on the road, it was a blur to me, because it was
Yeah.
just it went by so fast and so much fun. That's what it's like right now.
Yeah. It's funny because I knew you would say that, by the way.
Mm.
We've been here. I walked in here exactly 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
I haven't sat down yet.
Wow.
I'm pacing around the room. I'm doing what I have to do. It's all dark in the house. I will get up in the morning at 6 o'clock. I'll be in here doing my thing. And just like you said, I'm in a content place, and that's what I think happiness is. It's not that it's easy. It is difficult. It wears you out. It can be frustrating. We have things every day that like, what? Why did that happen? And yet you find yourself automatically just dealing with it, and you just keep going. And the only thing that will ever make you kind of mad, I think all of us get kind of agitated because we just get too much stimulation, and because we go to events and everything, and we have to disappear for a little bit. And that's why we love the lifestyle, because we can disappear for as much as we need to get. So if you can get yourself to that place where Ken is, where I am, where you're going to work your rear end off, it's no panacea here. You're going to work hard, but you're going to be in the moment. You're going to love what you're doing, and it's just kind of you're content, and that's when you know you've arrived. If you can get there, you're in a good spot. I have so much to do. I cannot tell you what's on my plate right now, and I have so much to do. I can't figure out how to tell somebody to help me yet. That's next week's project, and this is all because I'm happy. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it, man.
Yeah, it's true. It really comes down to that, and you will find, even in this new relationship that we have right now, that in your new relationship with Scott, for example, you're going to find it's the beginning of a whole new avenue to your business and to your lifestyle. And it's a great ride. And for those of you guys that have been, that are joining our coaching programs and so on, it's the coolest thing for us to be able to make an impact. And even when we do a strategy session, and even when people don't sign up, it's still an impact that we make, and
Mhm.
it's still a good feeling. I mean, even if the customer doesn't step up that minute, the fact is we made some kind of a difference, and we get them there eventually. It's kind of cool.
Eventually, it
So
happens.
so cool. Oh, so Scott Swan says, waiting for Scott and Ken to stamp my success passport and get my application from podcast visa to earn and learn. That's fabulous. That's great.
Oh,
Christine
well,
Christine says, I'll join you both in the big roller coaster. That's a good way to put it, Christine. It is a roller coaster, and
yeah.
the one thing we have to keep reminding ourselves, and for me especially, because I made a bunch of gigantic changes in in my business over the past few weeks that have been gigantic. I mean, really big and monumental in terms of focus, that it finally gave it the structure it needed. Scott's had got a few years ahead of me in terms of really taking that to the next level, and it's super cool. So when you get to that place, magical things start to happen. And the cool thing is that between Scott and I working together and with what we do, both together and apart, it makes My mother's going to sleep. I guess that means we really had to have to get off. And she's like the night owl in the family. So she's playing tennis in the morning. My mother's
Is she
80.
really?
My,
Are you doing a webinar from your mother's bedroom? Is that what you're doing?
I'm not in her bedroom, but no, hang on for a second. Let me open this up.
Hello, everybody.
My mother is 80 years old.
80 years young.
Sorry, 80 years young. She last year in September, this time last year actually. We were trekking in Nepal up to 3,200 meters. The woman's unbelievable, and she's playing tennis tomorrow morning. What time?
7:30.
7:30 in the morning. She's playing tennis. It's now 11:30 at night.
And I just came back from work at the theater.
Yeah, and she volunteers at the local theaters too. This is my mom.
Wow, amazing. She doesn't sound 80. You don't sound 80.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, maybe you didn't hear me. What happened? Oh shit! Hang on. Did you guys hear that? Oh my goodness! No, hello.
I heard everything. Could you hear me?
Okay, everyone's saying hi. No, I couldn't hear you. But now I just put the headset back on. So everyone. Yeah, Christine says yes. Christine says it's amazing, Mom. Sean says we hear you. Yeah. So I couldn't hear you guys back. Everyone's saying hello. Look at this. she's loving this. Julia says, "Go to bed."
Well, crowd, this is fun.
Let's go to bed.
But I really do want to get my beauty sleep. This is awesome. All right, you guys. Any other last minute questions? Score tomorrow. 40 love, Mom. That's great. She's great. Jason says hello. TJ says, been great. Good night. Your mom is the bomb. She is. She's awesome. And you know what? It's when you have fun like that. I'll tell you I got to tell you guys this, and then we really have to go. When I would, Scott, you'll love this. When I was doing my 3-day trainings for the Russ Whitney people, I would do a foreclosure training in Atlanta. And on Sunday mornings, part of the agenda was just whatever it was. I would have my mother call me in the middle of class. It happened once as an accident, but then I decided it was too much fun. So my mother would call, and we would actually have my mother on the microphone talking to the class. It was hysterical. We had the best time. And again, it comes down to the experience. It gave the audience fun, and I could bring the audience right back into the training. When you do your podcast, and just even how Scott and I are playing together, we could have been finished with this an hour ago. We could have. Sales were good. We did well. You guys are coming on board. It's terrific, and you can have an amazing time. We could have been done and gone back to, our families and stuff. But you're tonight, our family, you're why we're here. And frankly, speaking for me, we're having and now I'm saying we're having a great time.
And fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Jason says she sounds younger than you can.
She really does. She really does.
They're
the same thing, Jason.
they're saying you sound younger than me. Great. She's laughing. All right. Well, Scott, any final words before we say goodnight?
No, sir. It has been fun and been a long time since I've been able to just kind of share and just you know what. Thank you, Ken. Because this was a true stretch to get me here because it's been a busy week. And thank you. I've had a really good time to do it. And the reason I really want to say thank you is because what these folks who are still, and so many of them on the line still tonight, what you heard, and I hope you get this, was not only good content, the whole deal, the whole thing, but the conversation that has gone on between Ken and I between the end and now is exactly where you're going if you're not already there. This comfortable conversation, this true sharing, this just being in this place of giving and serving. And this is where it is. And that's why I'm so chill. I'm like, dude, I want to go to bed, but at the same time, I don't want to leave,
Right, exactly.
And this is one of the reasons you do this. So, Ken, thank you for twisting my arm and making me do it. I know I gave you some grief today because you were pushing me. And it's like, dude, leave me alone. Leave me alone. But
that was so funny. That was so funny. I was like, oh, don't bail on me. Don't even think about bailing on me.
Well, I did think about it. I did, and had it not been you, I would have said, you know what, no, and because it was that important to me to get it done right, and so we got it done. It's all good, and that's how you have to do it, guys. I'm gonna leave you with one thought here. Your success comes, it's directly related to the velocity you have in your life. Success is velocity. When opportunity comes your way, you grab it, you run with it, and you say, hey, sloppy mess, it's imperfect, I'm going to get it done, you go. You run with it. If you are dragging your toes, if you're waiting, if you're contemplating, then you're not going to get what you want. And this is no sales pitch. The universe respects action. When you go into massive action, you're going to get massive return, and not all of it's going to be good, but a lot of it will be. So you gotta push it out of the way, and you gotta grab the good stuff and go for it. If you take your time, if you lollygag along, as we like to say here in Florida, you get nothing. So what Ken did today and all week long, through his massive motivational and very persuasive style that you guys know about, and using a little bit of blackmail, saw an opportunity and grabbed it, and just basically, honest to God, had to pull me by the nose to get here today. And I'm normally not that guy. I'm usually very, very open to it, but I was so protective of it. And so he got me here. I'm glad I'm here. And Ken, you knew I'd be happy when I got here, right? You
Of course I did. Of course I did. Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, come on, man. It's 4 weeks on the road. Come on.
I know. And if I really realized that, I might not have asked, but I was completely being selfish.
I know it was. So guys, the velocity is here. So whether you're sitting tonight, whatever you're doing, I'm telling you, if you have an idea, get on it. If you're on the edge about this program we've been talking about for a while, I don't know if you bought it, didn't buy it, I don't know. If you're on the edge, you better get off the edge. I mean, if you're thinking about it, here's the thing, and I'll leave you with this thought. This is just a pure universal thought. Once a thought enters your mind, you have a couple of choices. You can do something about it now and get on with life and have a great time. Take action, do it, and go. You can decide I'll contemplate it for a while, and eventually you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to decide not to do it or wish you had done it, or you could just discard it tonight and be done with it. So if it's not your thing, discard it and be done with it. Be done. Please save yourself some hassle. Stop the wishy-washy thing. Just be done with it, and I will give you a high five and a hug and buy you dinner when you come to town because you made a decision. But if it's something that you're like, hey, I wish I could do what Scott and Ken are doing, and I'm thinking about it, I can't tell you how much money I spent last weekend. I can't even tell you how much I spent. And my wife could tell you how much I spent. I didn't even think about it. I just did it because I know it comes out. So anyway, that's my last thing. Velocity's there. If you're thinking about it, either get it out of your head or go do something about it, and that will change your life the minute you decide to do that.
Amen. Oh. You use velocity. I use momentum. Same thing.
Same thing. You got to run. You got to go.
Absolutely. So you guys, I'm thrilled you were with us. Thank you. For those of you that have been kind of sitting waiting because you'd want to miss anything, now's the time to go to that page. Get it done.
Yeah, have I earned it yet? Have I earned it yet?
Good question. I don't know. Let me think about that for a minute. Yeah, like an hour and a half ago. With me, you earned it when we were halfway through our phone call way back over a year ago, without any question. You absolutely did. Yeah, wow. You absolutely did. So this is, Sean says, got something else to buy. I'm in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm great. You know what, Sean? Join Trailblazers.
I can do better than that.
All right, go ahead.
Sean, shoot me an email tomorrow, okay? We'll work it out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in a great place. All of you guys are really in a great place, and thanks a lot. Sean says you got it. So, all right, you guys have a great night. And for those of you in Australia, I love having people across the pond. I'm coming home to Asia on Monday, you guys. So I'll be on your part of the world, back in Bangkok. Thanks for being with me. Good afternoon to you guys all. And Scott, sleep well. I'll talk to you sometime tomorrow in between your recording. Just touch base. I'll get all the emails to you shortly. And thanks everybody. Good night. God bless. And hope you had just half as much good fun as we did, because it's been a slice of heaven.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Bye, Scott. Good night, everybody.